just keep on coming on sports, and this one should be an absolute belter. It's Celtic against Aberdeen for a place in the League Cup final with Pat Bonner, Willie Miller and Liam McLeod.
Well, I hope you're all strapped in wherever you are, if you're at home, if you're out and about in the cars. A full Hampden Park, the Celtic supporters with a pyrotechnic tifo effectively off to the right. It looks pretty spectacular. CFC covering the middle point of the stand off to the right. The Aberdeen supporters letting off some smoke bombs as well. The red smoke billowing up into the air at the west end of the stadium. The two sets of players have exchanged handshakes down below us with each other and with the match officials, and the two captains down there, Graham Shinney of Aberdeen and Callum McGregor of Celtic, and how Brendan Rodgers is delighted to have his skipper back for this huge occasion. The first of the League Cup semis, the 7th time these two have met at this stage. Celtic have won 4 to Aberdeen's 2. The Dons' triumphs coming in 1989 when Ian Cameron scored the only goal, and 3 years later when Ian jested so. Willie Miller was the manager, having been a player and captain in the previous one. And that, in 1992, was the last time Aberdeen beat Celtic here at Hampden Park. 9 times they've met in cup ties since then here. Celtic have won all of them. The last one clearly on penalties, that Aberdeen salvaged it on 90 minutes and on 120 to force the shootout. But it's 32 years since they beat them here, and it will be Aberdeen are going to kick off the first of the semis, all in red with white flashes. Celtic are in their green and white hoops, as you would expect. And the scene is just about set here. The two informed teams unbeaten domestically this season. Something's going to have to give over the course of the next 90, next 120, and perhaps once again, as it was in the spring, decided on penalties. We shall see. Aberdeen currently on their longest winless run against Celtic as well. It's something that needs addressed, but although they didn't win the game here in Glasgow in the East End 2 weeks ago, it was a huge point for them as they came from 2-0 down to get a draw. Who will prevail? Who will be the first team through to this season's League Cup final to face Motherwell or Rangers? Celtic listed nominally as the home team, so their name will be read out first when we do score checks across the evening. They were drawn out of the hat first. The referee's Kevin Clancy. He's just about ready to go. Last took charge of the final of this tournament in 2016 when Ross County beat Hibs. So it will be Aberdeen, as I said, to kick off. They're going to shoot from left to right towards the East End. The Celtic supporters, they're covering much of the south stand, all the way around the east corner and all the way through to the north-west corner of the stadium. The Aberdeen supporters off to our left. Slight delay to kick off just because of the sheer volume of smoke that is wafting around Hampden. So that's why there is a slight delay to proceedings getting underway. The players have had to wait all day. They don't want to have to wait any longer to get stuck into each other here. Aberdeen unbeaten from open play against Celtic this calendar year. 3 draws, just that shootout. When Killian Phillips nowadays at St Mirren saw his spot kick saved by Joe Hart, who himself had missed one. Celtic came through, went on to beat Rangers in the Scottish Cup final. This is a tournament they're desperate to win again, having been knocked out of the first hurdle by Kilmarnock last term. And what was Brendan Rodgers' first ever domestic cup defeat. Just that solitary loss to Kilmarnock over his 2 spells as Celtic manager. But this isn't ideal for the two sets of players. They're ready to go.
It's incredible. You know, players are out there, they're hyped up, they're warmed up, they're ready to go, and their minds are set. Now this is really interrupting the start of this game. We're struggling to see down onto the pitch. The players obviously are affected on it.
By the way, they're inhaling all that smoke as well as we are. It's sometimes not as, you know, it's billowing around you. It's quite difficult to breathe properly. The players down there are going through it on the pitch.
The display was excellent, but you know, ramifications are that I don't know if VAR would be affected because of the vision issues. Certainly the fans can't see it. The smoke is not moving.
We've got the screen in front of us. This is what the TV viewers are seeing, and our view's actually better than the TVs.
Yeah.
And the cameras can't see through it.
The smoke is not moving, Liam. So, it's really concerning at this moment in time. You would think that it would begin to lift, but unfortunately, as far as we can see up here, it isn't lifting. So, it might be a case that this could be a prolonged hold-up, and all down to these players that were let off just earlier before the game.
We've seen this before games. Generally, they do manage to get it started, but the conditions are relatively benign. There is a slight breeze in the air, but of course this is such a big bowl of a stadium with no gaps in it, so the smoke's really got nowhere to go unless it rises out. But there's no sign of that happening imminently. Nicky Devlin's over here chatting to his manager, and he's making his way over to the massive technical area dugout down below us to take on some water. Both sets of players are trying to keep warmed up here. Just waiting to see when Kevin Clancy's able to summon them back to the centre point.
Yeah, it's the players I've been sorry for, Wooly, we've been there before. You know that you're coming out the tunnel. You know that you've got a couple of minutes to get yourself just mentally prepared, and then you want the game to kick off. And now this delay, the prolonged, the balls are out on the pitch, so the players can keep themselves warm.
Well, the problem is the offside lines with the VAR. That's why this delay is continuing. I think it is clearing slightly. I can see the players on the other side of the pitch, on the north stand side, which I couldn't a moment ago. So just got to wait our time. This game is meant to kick off more than 5 minutes ago. If you're joining us for this one, you missed the scorelines earlier in the Premiership. St Johnstone 1, Hearts 2. Kenneth Vargas popping up with a winner after Nicky Clark scored at both ends. Equalised for St Johnstone from the spot. It was goalless between St Mirren and Ross County in Paisley in the Championship. Another awful day for Rhys McCabe and Airdrieonians, hammered 4-0 at home by Hamilton. Partick Thistle with a 1-0 win against Dunfermline. The Pars looked as though they'd got the motor running recently, but beaten at home by Partick Thistle. A ginormous victory for Falkirk against struggling Morton, 6-0. Incredible scoreline, that one. And it was one apiece between Livingston and Queen's Park. League One, it was Dumbarton 0, Cove Rangers 3, Alloa 5, Annan 0, Arbroath 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 1, Kelty Hearts 1, Queen of the South 1, Montrose 0, and in League 2, 2-2 between Clyde and Bonnyrigg, 1-1 between East Fife and Stirling Albion, Edinburgh City 2-4 for 0, Elgin 1, Stranraer 0, and Peterhead 2, Spartans 1. There's still no sign of this game kicking off anytime soon right now. Kevin Clancy's now off the pitch. He's down between the two technical areas. See big Anton from the SPFL's down there as well. And we're just waiting for Kevin Clancy to get the nod, but it's my understanding that the cameras that the VAR are looking at, and it's Andrew Dallas and John McCrossan on bar duty tonight, the screens that they are watching are still too cloudy for this game to start. Players have been out there for ages now.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't start moving, then, there's a case that you take the players back inside, Liam, to be perfectly honest. It seems to be very, very slowly beginning to lift, but, it's difficult to tell how long it's going to take before, the conditions are right and accurate for Bar, the fans. The players, I think, would be okay down there in the pitch. I don't think it's going to affect them, but certainly, the VAR officials, if they can't see what's going on, if they're, not technically able to pick out certain incidents, and in particular the offside, then there's no point in really starting, is there? So I think, give it a little bit more time, but there will come a point where you've got to make a decision, perhaps just take the players back inside. There's no wind out there at all, is there? The smoke is, you can see it's actually sometimes coming down the way rather than up the way and out the stadium. So it's very, very slowly dissipating, but it's a real disappointing start to this occasion.
Yeah, it really is. We've got Motherwell Rangers to come tomorrow in the second of the semis. We're really looking forward to what these two teams can produce. They've some brilliant meetings recently, but it's a fixture that Aberdeen haven't really enjoyed too often recently. Yes, they're unbeaten in open play against Celtic this calendar year, but overall it's 26 meetings without a victory against Celtic, and they've only won one of the last 37. That was the game at Celtic Park when Andrew Considine, who's here working for TV tonight, scored the only goal on the final day of the season as Aberdeen tipped Rangers to second spot. Celtic had long since won the title though by that point, and obviously they're down there taking on more water just now and still trying to warm up. Again, my understanding is that the managers don't want the players to go off and go back into the changing room. They've been through all that, they've had the last word, they've got the players psyched up for this one, Packy, and there's no sign of any action. I mean, that's now just about 10 minutes late.
Yeah, and I see a lot of the Aberdeen players have just come off to the side of the pitch. I don't know whether they've gone up in the tunnel or just gone to maybe the dugout. I can't see properly from where I'm sitting, but the Celtic players are all on the pitch. Players are stretching, they're passing the ball around, trying to keep themselves just active, but it just shows you the effect that these things have on not just from a safety perspective, but also now from a point of view of creating an environment where games can be stopped. And you know, what is it now? Almost 10 minutes?
So I'm saying, well, it's 10 minutes now. This game was meant to kick off 10 minutes ago. We've not seen a single competitive kick of the ball yet. And Kevin Clancy's still down here chatting to the SPFL delegates, the match delegates. And we might be getting somewhere though, just in the next minute or so. There's some final checks going on back at VAR HQ, so once they're sure they can see everything, particularly those offside lines, they will be able to get this game underway. And another action-packed week coming up in sports, and of course we're eagerly anticipating what we're going to see here at Hampden tonight. But tomorrow, Motherwell Rangers in the second semi-finals, a couple of Premiership matches as well. Hibs Dundee United, Dundee against Kilmarnock, and then our attention turns to the European stage in midweek. Celtic hosting RB Leipzig on Tuesday evening on match day 4 in the Champions League. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Sports Sound on the air from 6 o'clock. Then on Thursday, Olympiacos Rangers in the Europa League. That's a 5:45 kickoff. And then after that, 8 p.m. kickoff at Tynecastle Hearts taking on Heidenheim of the German Bundesliga. Finished 8th in the German top flight last season, before on Friday Morton against Ayr United in the Championship live on the BBC Scotland channel. So sounds like they're going to give it another 2 or 3 minutes. I'm not exactly sure what happens if the game doesn't start in that time. I see Graham Kirk, who's one of the Aberdeen coaches, sports science, down there, gets the cones out just off the pitch.
Liam, sorry,
Celtic doing the same.
We're at a situation now that the players have got to actually go and warm up again. Yep. So you've got to give them time to do that. Yep. So that could take another 5 minutes. So we could be 15-20 minutes before this game kicks off. And you can't blame the players. They have to get themselves right mentally and physically again.
I think it is getting better, Willie. I mean, if it wasn't for the VAR, this game would have kicked off by now. Yeah,
no, it is getting better now. You can see a distinct improvement in the vision, so we're very hopeful that it's going to start imminently. The players are coming back. Sports science is taking over rather than them just idly kicking the ball to each other. So they're having what looks like just the last few minutes of finalising their second warm-up, and hopefully by the looks of it, we'll get this game kicked off very shortly.
I think in the next minute or so this game's going to be getting underway. Remember, if it's the rugby you're looking for, Scotland taking on Fiji in their opening autumn test. That's over on BBC Radio Scotland FM, on sounds at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. But here at Hampden, it's all about the League Cup. These two looking to become the first side through to this season's final, which will be taking place back here on the 15th of December. And as you can hear from the roar in the background, we are now ready to go. Thank goodness. Aberdeen are going to kick off. Kevin Clancy has the ball at his feet just now. Just a couple of final checks with his assistants and with the fourth official over on this near side, Callum Scott. But they're all good to go at VAR HQ, as they are now on the pitch. And finally, it is Celtic against Aberdeen in the League Cup semi-final. It is kicking off 13 minutes late, but it's Jamie McGrath who takes the first touch, rolls it back to Nielsen, and Nielsen's long ball towards Keskinen's going to come all the way through to Kasper Schmeichel, who gets an early feel of it, and it's an underarm ball to the fit again Cameron Carter-Vickers, who came back into the side against Dundee during the week, and he rolls it along the 18 to Trusty, back to Carter-Vickers, and then to Trusty once more. Low ball forward to Hatate, stabs it out to this near side for Baye, challenged by Shinnie, won back by Keskinen. Celtic pick up the loose ball in the midfield with McGregor, and it breaks to Maida and nicks it away from Devlin. He's driving down this near side, he's body checked by Rubičić, and the ref gives Celtic the free kick midway inside the Aberdeen half on this near side.
Yeah, it was a break for him. If he had to release the ball a little bit quicker into that space behind where Rubičić came from, I think was it Kuhn that came away from the right hand side across to make that little run, and it might have been a better option for him, but he tried to go past him and he was just taken out of it.
He's making a case that it was shoulder to shoulder. It's a definite free kick. The referee's spoken to Rubičić. I think he's fortunate actually, maybe it's just that early in the game that he didn't get a yellow card, but there's no doubt that it was a free kick. It was not shoulder to shoulder, he just wiped Maeda out.
Well, it's going to be Arne Engels to take it. It's a low one to Kyogo. It's work from the training ground, blocked by a combination of McGrath and Duke. Breaks back to Kyogo, and then McGrath thunders into the challenge. Good tackle. Breaks to Hatate though. Here's McGregor. Celtic looking to get into their stride early on here. Kuhn rolls it to the left-hand side of the box there as Duke is upended by Kyogo, and that will be a free kick to Aberdeen, just to the right of their own penalty area. It was Hatate, in fact, who was the offender, and that will be a free kick to Aberdeen, as I say. And they've just weathered the opening little storm from Celtic from that Engels free kick. You can see what he was trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's I mean, Celtic, I think in this type of game would want to have a quick start, and they certainly had the quick start. It was off the training field. The little free kick that they played didn't actually come to anything, you know, but at the same time the intent was there. You know, at the end of the day, Aberdeen survived. But looking at Aberdeen, I mean, Jamie McGrath is, you know, only 4 or 5 yards deeper than Sokler at this moment in time. I think he's been given the nod to try when he can to get on top of McGregor, not allow McGregor enough space, but it's Aberdeen just now have got 4 on the halfway line, so I think that tells you the intent that Jimmy Tavine has.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, just on that point, Willie, I think the reason why you can do that is because you've got the 2 sitting in the middle of the pitch, and you can push the other 4 on to become real attacking players.
Celtic have it with McGregor. He's just inside his own half in the centre circle. Camley finds Johnston over on the right side, and he rolls it back to Carter-Vickers, who finds Trusty square ball. Trusty low ball forward there to Baye, back to Trusty. It shuffles away from Sokler and then finds Maida. Maida loses in the middle of the pitch though. Here's Sivert Nielsen, who's had it nicked off him by Maida, and Celtic coming away. No foul. Maida's on his bike. It's going to be Engels on his own, and he'll be regretting that now because he's fired it high over the bar. 3 minutes in, almost 3.5. Celtic 0, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, we know that he's got a strike on him, hasn't he? But the option was wide to Kuhn, because the fullback had come in, because he had to come in to almost narrow up just to stop him penetrating, and the pass was wide for Kuhn, but he elected to take the shot on well over the crossbar.
Callum McGregor down there, he's won this competition no fewer than 7 times. The Celtic captain. Aberdeen going up against an experienced winning machine in many ways, and Celtic have it on the far side. Dink ball to the edge of the box, headed away by Rubičić. It's been a bright start here by the favourites. It's Engels, just has it nicked off him by McGrath though, and now it's Shinnie. He rolls it out to Duke. Sokler's on the run. Duke gets away from Johnston, driving down the far side. Celtic trying to get numbers back. Duke brought to the ground. No foul, says the referee. Ball must have been pretty cleanly taken by Johnston, who's had a fine time of it in front of goal recently. 4 goals in his last 6 games for the Celtic right back. And McGregor picks up in the anchor roll and rolls it to Trusty.
Well, that's a threat that Duke has, isn't it? You know, he's got that pace, he's got the intent. If he gets a little bit of space, and you know, Johnson commits himself, and it's just a simple, straightforward pass in behind, and he's on to it. Kuhn did really well to come back and help his full back out, but Duke has definitely got that that intense pace that is a major threat.
That was spin by Kyogo. He goes down, no foul. Aberdeen have it with Devlin, who rolls it back to Rubezic. Devlin and McKenzie have been magnificent for Aberdeen this season. Rubezic with a dangerous pass. Hatate almost cut it out. Aberdeen start it with Keskinen, challenged by Baye, and out for an Aberdeen throw-in on this near side, which will be taken by Devlin, who got the first against Rangers the other night, and effectively assisted with the second with his effort coming off the post. Shayden Morris was there on the rebound. Jack McKenzie was involved in both those goals as well. And Shinnie picks up in the midfield, having been suspended for the Scottish Cup semi between the two last season. Out to McKenzie on the far side. Now it's with Duke under pressure, goes down, no foul by Engels, who's the referee. It's a long ball for Kyogo to chase. He's in behind Malloy, he's on his own at the moment, forced wide right. Turns it back, but turns it into touch, and that's an Aberdeen throw in midway inside their own half on the north stand side.
Yeah, I must say,
east in this first half, 0-0.
That did look like a free kick. He thought he pulled him back. The referee. That's three now. 2 on Duke, and I think the one on Kyogo that the referee has let go early in this game, when maybe you let him go, but if it's a foul, it's a foul.
There was a bit of rain before kick-off. The pitch was well watered by the sprinklers as well, so it'll be a fairly slick surface, I would have thought. And it's Celtic on the ball deep inside their own half, back to Schmeichel, who turns it out to Trusty. Wanted too long on that, Sockler all over him, but he's got away with it, knocks it out to the near side touchline for Baye, who comes into a central position and finds McGregor, who finds Alistair Johnston right of the centre circle. Rolls it infield to McGregor, who finds Trusty, preferred to Liam Scales tonight. Out to the left-hand side touchline for Hatate. Level with the edge of the centre circle. Then back into it for Carter Vickers. And he gets it out to the far side for Nicholas Kuhn, who was a goal scorer against Aberdeen here last season. His ball forwards cut out by McKenzie, who prevents the corner and slides in to put it out for a throw into Celtic ahead of Johnston over on the far side. Level with the Aberdeen 6-yard line.
Yeah, that was Kuhn staying wide, Johnston coming in almost an inverted fullback position and then making his run, a little penetrating run forward in between the fullback and the centre half, and just the interception just took it away from him. But that's a danger, always a danger.
Kuhn, great ball, Minders in behind, but he puts it straight at Mitov. Now he was being marshalled by Devlin, but I think he saw enough space, enough of the goal to potentially put Celtic in front there. It stays 0-0. It's the best chance of the game, 7 in, 0-0.
He should score. Listen, I think he's probably offside, but you know, it's a lovely little clip ball, and Nicky Devlin doesn't see him. He's watching the ball. You know, it's Maeda's coming from behind him. You know, he runs in behind. Thankfully, from an Aberdeen point of view, it would have been offside if he'd have scored. He should have put it in the back of the net. He didn't make proper contact with him. But I think Nicky Devlin's got to be aware of players behind and into the side of him. On that occasion, he wasn't.
Aberdeen giving it away. Here's Callum McGregor, left of the centre circle, back into his own half for Carter Vickers. He finds Johnston, knocks it forward to McGregor, who as ever will have such an important role to play in the Celtic side. Baye is all the way back to Carter Vickers. It's been a decent start by Celtic, Packy, would you say?
Yeah, well, listen, they're trying to control the game. They're passing it. 2 centre halves are passing it. They're not engaging really. Sockler's not really engaging. Jamie McGrath sitting in the McGregor and allowing Celtic just to have possession across the back. And then, of course, the movement off the ball, higher up the pitch. That's what Celtic's looking for, to get find those little pockets and space so they can play through the lines.
Great challenge by Shinnie on the near side against Baye, puts it out for a throw-in. Celtic take it quickly. And back at the feet of Austin Trusty, squares it to Carter Vickers. And walking pace up towards the edge of the centre circle. It's a long right foot ball forward on the instep, but Devlin will nod it out for a throw-in. I think he felt there was he should have got a bit of help there. He's nodded it straight into touch for a Celtic throw-in.
I think a lot of communication he was looking for, either from Mitov or Rubezic, you know, just to tell him that he did have time. Actually, had time to take that ball down. He could have taken it down in his chest, but he wasn't aware again where Maeda was, and he didn't get any help from his teammates.
Here comes Celtic at the edge of the box. Engels, just ball got caught underneath him, and Aberdeen can clear through Nielsen, and then Sockler finds McGrath, finds Keskinen, and is driving out the far side. Eventually he's outnumbered, and Celtic win it back, and Callum McGregor has it, and then Baye up to halfway. And out to the right-hand side for Nicholas Kuhn. And then Engels wins the throw-in. And it's about level with the edge of the D of the Aberdeen box, maybe a few yards further back than that. That's where Johnston's taking it, midway inside the Aberdeen half, pulls it back onto halfway. Carter Vickers for Trusty. We're almost 10 minutes in, 0-0. If you're just joining us, kickoff was delayed for almost 15 minutes due to the pyrotechnics leaving a trail of smoke inside the stadium as the rain tumbles down again here in Glasgow's south side. It's Carter Vickers right of the circle, knocks it forward low, straight to Malloy though. Long ball looking for Esther Sockler, looking to get in behind the defenders there, but Carter Vickers reacts well and he turns it back to Casper Schmeichel. He's such a cool customer, Cameron Carter Vickers, Packy.
Yeah, he's got pace too, you know, and that's the one thing that Brendan Rodgers spoke about in his interview, that he's put those two players in because he felt that they had that. Obviously Carter Vickers, we know his pace.
There's a chance for Celtic down the right. Johnston's away from McKenzie. The cross is poor though, and he's going to skip all the way through and out for an Aberdeen throw-in on this near side. Have Aberdeen settled yet, Willie?
No. It's wasted as well, isn't it? That Alistair Johnson cross into the ball. Really good move. Him and Kuhn combining down the right-hand side. Mackenzie selling himself a little bit, getting caught out of position, but no Aberdeen. Well, when you say settled, they've settled into a defensive formation. They haven't really had any threat going forward, but they've got the four at the back, the two just sitting in front of them. And then, really, you've got McGrath playing half and half. The other three are up the park. The other three are trying to, make it a high press. It's not particularly working because I don't think the back four are pushing high enough up the park to make it effective.
Celtic have in the centre circle with Trusty, and then Carter Vickers again. Two Celtic centre backs. Always ominous for the opposition when you see the Celtic centre backs on the halfway line or even further forward.
Yeah, well, they're controlling the game when that happens. You know, they've got lots of possession, and as I said, they're waiting for the opportunities to try and play those little penetrating passes. What's happening with the game here is Celtic have controlled the game. It's a poor pass.
Trustees kept it in, yeah.
But Aberdeen then are just trying to hit Celtic a little bit on the counter-attack, but Celtic are actually winning the ball back in the counter-press every time they get it, so it hasn't really worked for Aberdeen yet on that counter-attack. There will be a moment, but it hasn't happened so far.
Carter Vickers away from Sockler, rolls it out wide right to the far side. It's given away by Celtic, but it's a free kick. It's actually gone Aberdeen's way over on that far side, and it's Sivert Nielsen. He was battling for it and he was brought to the ground by Engels, so that will be a free kick to Aberdeen. Similar position to where Celtic had one in the opening couple of minutes of the match, and it's over on that left hand side, a few yards from the north stand side touchline, and Jamie McGrath's over it. First chance perhaps, Willie, for Aberdeen to test the Celtic defence.
And it was good press there as well. You don't see Nielsen sprinting forward in that area too often in a game, so it gives Jamie McGrath, I think it is, it's taking it.
It is. Right-footed ball into the back end of the penalty area. It's headed down, headed away though by Johnston. The offside flag's gone up anyway. It was Gavin Malloy who attacked it, nodded it down, but it's a Celtic free kick inside their own box. It sees nothing each.
Well, I mean, you just don't see why the flag has to go up there for offside, do you?
No.
I mean, you've won the ball. Celtic have won the ball. It's a nice little touch out to the left-hand side. Value's on the ball. He's then in an attacking position to hit Aberdeen, on the counter, and the flag goes up. The question is why? Just let it go.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to add there, Willie, is that Gavin Malloy shouldn't be offside. No. The free kick is coming from the left-hand side. He's the last man on the right-hand side. He's up against Valle, just picking him up, and he's an opportunity to really, and he did get a header into it, down in his head, but you shouldn't step offside.
Celebrating Shelbourne's League of Ireland title success, went all the way to the final day. There were 3 teams who could have won it on the last day. Shelbourne it was, flipping St Pat's and Shamrock Rovers, and Malloy arrived from Damien Duff's side in the summer, played his part. He's a winner's medal for the part he played, as Nielsen gives away the free kick just right at the centre circle in the Celtic half. The Celtic fans, I think, wanting Nielsen booked there. I think Nielsen was wanting Engels booked for the pull on him that led to that recent Aberdeen free kick over on the far side.
Yeah, we've seen this at Parkhead, didn't we? Nielsen, he will do everything. He'll scrap, he'll pull, anything to stop the rhythm of the game for Celtic, and he'll take it to the wire. He's got away with that one, of course. And rightly so. So this is his first one, Willie.
Yeah, I mean that's the type of player he is. You know, it's not easy in the eye. It's a bit awkward at times, but also at times it's effective.
Celtic give it away. Here's Graham Shinnie picking up in the centre circle. It's a chip ball forward looking for Sockler. Carter Vickers gets the shout from Schmeichel and allows it to bounce through to the Celtic goalkeeper, who fires it quickly out to this left-hand side for Reo Hatate. Up against Keskinen. Moves into a central area, across halfway, ball forward for Kyogo, is brought down. Celtic free kick, yellow card coming for Rubičić.
Yeah, he's dived in there, Willie, hasn't he? You know, that we've seen that from him before. You said he settled down this season, but that's now him in the book early in this game.
Yeah, I settled down this season, but not on that occasion. I must admit, he doesn't need to do it. You know, you've got to think about the game.
In the middle of the pitch.
You know, he doesn't have to come out and wipe out Kyogo on that. Kind of 40 yards out, and he gets himself a yellow card now. So
he'd won earlier, didn't he? He'd won earlier, quite early in the game, so he was already in the ref's mind.
Maeda, he's taking Maeda out. So it needs to settle down now, otherwise that second yellow could come.
Celtic have it. Trusty to Baye. He's got a bit of space here across halfway, midway inside the Aberdeen half now. Maeda makes his run. Instead, Baye moves infield, passes it to Hatate's. Ball through's cut out by Rubičić. He finds Duke. Duke's got himself into a real problem area and he's lost it, and Kyogo has at the edge of the box. His shot at goal's deflected behind off a red shirt and out for a Celtic corner. Their first of the evening, 16 in, 0-0 in the first semi.
Yeah, he can't afford to lose it there, Duke. Now he was his back to his own goal, facing his own goal, back to the Celtic goal, and he didn't have maybe a lot of options to pass it to him, but you just got to go down. You've got to be cute and almost try and win yourself a foul rather than give the ball away.
Short corner is eventually rolled back to Engels at the right angle of the box, squares it to Hatate, who in turn squares it to McGregor, takes a touch, shoots, it's blocked by McKenzie at the edge of the Aberdeen box. Hatate looks to keep it alive, gets it out to that right hand side for Kuhn. Johnston on the overlap, finds him, pulls it back, away by McKenzie. Aberdeen defending okay at the moment, Celtic continuing to try and press and find this opening goal. As it comes right back to Schmeichel, who knocks it low forward to McGregor with the left foot. It's out to the right-hand side for Johnston. Celtic, whilst they've had a lot of the ball, perhaps not at full flow as yet. We know what full flow looks like from this team. As Callum McGregor goes long looking for Maeda. Nitov wasn't convinced he was going to get to it, so he elected to leave it and hope that Maeda wouldn't get there, and eventually he didn't, and it goes behind for the goal kick.
I thought he could have.
I thought he could have too.
I thought he kind of just stepped out of it. Maybe he thought Mitov was going to come out and wipe him out. Looks as though he's onside as well.
Did he chicken out a wee bit thinking the goalkeeper was coming? I kind of looked
I think it distracted him. Packy, you know, I think he had him in one eye and he took his concentration off the ball, but for me he should have been fairly concentrated in taking that ball down and getting the goal scoring opportunity.
Foul by Sockler and Baye on this near side. Remember, Aberdeen actually took the lead in that Scottish Cup semi-final. An early Miovski goal from a wonderful Leighton Clarkson pass. Clarkson on the bench. Miovski in action for Girona today after making the big move to Spain, which again, given he was head and shoulders Aberdeen's best player last season, the fact they've put this run together at the start of this season, having sold him, is all the more remarkable. It's now with Carter Vickers, who goes back to his goalkeeper. A tentative start perhaps to proceedings by Aberdeen. Celtic, well, Brendan Rodgers would have hoped to have seen Dimitar Mitov tested more than he has been in the opening 18 and a half. As it's rolled down the line for Hatate, challenged by Shinnie, off Hatate last. Aberdeen throw in, Shinnie looking for somewhere to bowl it quickly, but there is no option. Baye then gets in the way, and Shinnie leaves it for Nicky Devlin. That memorable Scotland debut inside this very stadium just a few weeks ago against Portugal. Late cameo, really important block he made as it goes out to play for an Aberdeen throw-in again, just a bit level with the Celtic 18-yard line on this near side, the Aberdeen right. Devlin's throw-in's poor, it's easily away by Baye. Keskinen tries to win it back, but his touch takes it straight to Kyogo, who's midway inside his own half. Launches it forward looking for Kuhn. McKenzie misjudges the bounce, but reacts well and recovers, and it's with Malloy, who launches it forward. It comes off the head of Carter Vickers, who nods it back into the midfield. Arne Engels emerges with it. Really good play, really nice touch. He had two Aberdeen players around him, and out with Hatate, left of the centre circle, fires it out to Maeda on the near side. Baye trying to get up in support here, but it's Maeda, low ball back in. Kyogo's touch is poor though. and he wanted it on the right foot, and he pays the price because he's basically just pushed it behind for the goal kick. If he hits it first time with the left, he could have been looking at putting Celtic in front there, but in the 20th minute, Celtic 0, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, you're right, Liam described it perfectly, as coming onto his almost left foot, but he tries to swing his right foot, outside of his right foot at it, tried to almost guide it into the net, but he just got too much on it and never hit the target. But yeah, that ball, quick ball out to Maeda down this, taking on Nicky Devlin and getting a quick cross into the box.
Foul by Duke on Carter Vickers. Aberdeen not getting a hold of the ball at all in this one. Jimmy Talene down there with a hood up against the elements. Brendan Rodgers standing, arms folded in the opposite massive technical area to the Swedes' right. Down below us here, about halfway up the main south stand side of the stadium, as Hatate gets it from Trusty on this near side and then knocks it back into his own half. Trusty squares it to Carter Vickers, who is standing there on the ball looking for an option, decides to go back to Trusty, who rolls it forward to Hatate, scampers into the centre circle, then fires it forward with the right foot to Johnston in the right inside channel, out to Kuhn, level with the Aberdeen penalty spot. Celtic flicking in a light here. It's Johnston, chip balls too high for Maeda. Engelsman down inside the box just before that cross came in. Celtic still have it. Maeda met by Hatate at the edge of the penalty area. It's now back with Maeda, who swings it across the face of the Aberdeen goal, and behind it will go by the corner flag for a goal kick to the Dons. 0-0, 21 played.
There's a lot of pressure in Aberdeen. You know, their shape is good. There is that 4-2 sitting in front, but they've got that threat. If they can get a little bit of control of the ball, you know, maybe with the two sitting midfielders or the full-backs and release the forward players.
Penalty check for handball. I'm not sure why handball's being announced, because it looked like it might have been a foul on Engels as he went down inside the area, and the check has been cleared, so game on here. It was a handball they were looking for, but
well, it wasn't from the cross anyway, because the cross missed absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
Wow. It was.
Long ball forward towards Duke, and he goes down, and that's going to be a free kick. So Aberdeen have got through a quarter of the semi-final unscathed, Willie.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy Talene will be happy enough with the shape and the organisation and the discipline that they're showing. I don't know if he'll be truly content with the forward, but I don't think he will be. I don't think there's been enough threat. I mean, Keskinen very rarely been in the game. Duke has had a couple of runs. He's not, in my book, done enough defensively. Duke, he's got to ask him to do a little bit more. But Celtic are controlling the ball. They're controlling possession. Aberdeen have still got the 4 players forward, but they just haven't had enough of the ball to do anything with the 4 players forward. So I think that will be the disappointing aspect for the Aberdeen manager. And another thing as well is that Celtic really haven't crafted or created, you know, real opportunities, and Mitov has had very little to do.
It's a dreadful ball by Nielsen, who actually gave the ball away for Celtic's opener at Celtic Park 2 weeks ago, and they're coming forward. Maeda down the left, up to the edge of the box, flicked away really well by Malloy, and then Shinnie is caught right in front of referee Clancy, and that's a free kick to Aberdeen. It was a really slack ball by Sivert Nielsen. When they haven't had too much possession, it needs to be a whole lot better than that. Although I would say the possession statistic for Celtic right now is lower than I thought it was going to be. They're sitting at 69% right now.
Yeah, no, but you're right. You know, giving the ball away and then Celtic quickly on the counter attack. They've got that pace and that. But Shinnie was very clever there, wasn't he? You know, when the ball comes out to me, unlike what Duke did earlier on, he put himself between the ball and the player, and ended up getting body contact and going down and winning his team a free kick when he was under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, but Maeda had, you know, a good opportunity to create a chance there, Packy, you know. And it was a wasteful ball from him. He wasn't under any pressure, and
right.
He's given it away as well. So a little bit scrappy play from both players.
Mitov has it at his feet at the edge of the box and rolls it to Rubetic to his right, who in turn does likewise out to Devlin on the touchline, but his ball up the line. He's on the stretch and he's put it straight out for a Celtic throw, and it was comfortable possession for Aberdeen deep inside their own half, and they've contrived to give it away. And if there's one team in this country you don't want to offer any kind of encouragement to, it is Celtic. 24 and a half on the clock at 0-0. Baye gives it away. Here's Topi Keskinen driving forward, looking to give Aberdeen some respite. Blocked by Carter Vickers though. Celtic clear. Nielsen trying to take it down. Goes down. Referee has a look and he's going to give the free kick, and he's going to yellow cards Callum McGregor as well for that. Well, Celtic don't even think this is a free kick, let alone a caution for the skipper.
I can't see it. We can't see it from where we are. We're trying to maybe look at it in the replay. I didn't think there was much in it, Wooly, for a yellow card. Yes, maybe a free kick.
A free kick probably, but yeah, I think it's pretty hard, giving Callum McGregor a yellow card for that.
Yeah, he stretched for the ball and then he came back down and he may have caught him just as he was planting his foot back in the ground. That's the only thing I can see.
He's got the ball though as well, and I know that, but it must count for something, actually making contact with the ball. And I think if you've made contact with the ball and you follow through and it's a free kick, I think that's enough.
Yeah, I don't think you like the trajectory of Callum McGregor's sole there. It was quite vertical when he went in with the studs up. Okay, he's won the ball cleanly. And Aberdeen have this free kick. It's just over 25 yards from goal, left to centre. Jamie McGrath, he's scored from here before from dead balls. He shoots when it's high over the bar, and it stays Celtic 0, Aberdeen 0, and that one perhaps more befitting of Murrayfield, where Scotland are 26-0 up against Fiji in their opening autumn test. Nothing each here at Hampden.
It's a par on his penalty against Rangers, isn't it? For different reasons, but both of them woeful.
Luke slides in the challenge on the far side. The ref didn't like that either, and the yellow card's out again, this time for the Aberdeen number 11. As he slammed into the challenge, and Johnston over on the north stand side, just inside his own half. We did suggest this game might not be for the faint-hearted. It's not been for the reasons that we'd thought or hoped so far.
He just slid in. He's caught him with his trailing foot and took Johnson's legs away, and maybe that's why the referee has gone. But he let the first 3 tackles go early on, and now he's booked almost 3 players, hasn't he, so far?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think they were required. Maybe the Rubizic one, perhaps. The other 2, I'm not so sure. But that's a modern game, isn't it? Trying to take the physicality out of it. For good reasons, I suppose, the injury to players. But at the same time, it is a contact sport.
And it is a 0-0 football match right now. The rugby continues over on FM. You're listening to Sports Sound, BBC Radio Scotland Extra, on digital online at bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland. First of the League Cup semis. Motherwell Rangers to come tomorrow. Back here, 3 o'clock kick-off, that one. This game was delayed because of the pyrotechnics, so almost 15 minutes behind schedule. Here comes Celtic down the right-hand side. A chance to attack the Aberdeen box. Kuhn lays it back, breaks to Engels off the defender. Engels cross ball, too high for Maida. It'll break Hatate's way. Left of the Aberdeen box, lovely reverse to Baye. Inside the area, rolls it back to the 18-yard line, cut out by McGrath. Celtic still have it though. It's Kyogo, left of the 6-yard box. Keskinen gets the touch. Rubizic was there too, and puts it behind for a Celtic corner as we tick on towards 28 minutes, 0-0.
Good possession for Celtic in round the box, but their final ball in, they haven't actually picked anybody out, and it's quite easy. But that was an opportunity for Aberdeen to clear the lines. He hesitated and eventually had to give away the corner. So Celtic, the pressure still on them.
Engels over it. Waits to take. In-swinger coming up with the right foot from the young Belgian. And Aberdeen have everyone back inside the box. Celtic have just about everyone forward, save for Schmeichel. In comes the corner, and it's headed home by Cameron Carter-Vickers, just inside the 6-yard box. He was keener than anyone else to get his head onto it, unchallenged, and he nods Celtic into the lead at Hampden. Celtic 1, Aberdeen 0. The most simple of goals.
Simple as the word. Ball played in with pace, in round, actually about 4 or 5 yards out inside the box, and Carter Vickers using his strength, his muscle, to get up above the Aberdeen defenders and head home. The pace on the ball allowed him to get enough on it, and in good direction onto the goal to beat the goalkeeper. And just wondered whether the goalkeeper, when it's inside the 6-yard box, could he come help his defence, maybe get a punch on it, but he's just used his strength. I'm not sure who was picking them up? Was it McKenzie? No, I'm not McKenzie. Was it back
Malloy.
It was Malloy. So he out-jumps him and uses that body strength that we know that he has. But a good header, Willie.
A good header, well taken, you know, bullet header, but really for me, totally unmarked. You know, you watch a replay. Sorry, Liam, I'll leave you to...
Yeah, no, there's another meaty challenge, this time from Jack McKenzie on the far side. Celtic have it back to Carter Vickers, who was brought back into the side after injury from his defensive duties, but he's popped up with a goal here, and it could be so crucial to Celtic, not just tonight, but for their season, because they want the treble this term, and they have the lead, and Aberdeen are going to have to go to plan B, because plan A has just been bust wide open.
Yeah,
he's unmarked, Opak.
I know, but when it's
Malloy's behind him, right? He's not marking him.
No.
McKenzie's in front of him. He's not marking him. Devlin is beside him, not marking him. It's an easy header for the big centre back. So defensively, very poor. Great goal from a Celtic point of view. Magnificent targeted ball and a powerful header, but defensively for Aberdeen, very, very poor.
Just watching replays back of the McKenzie challenge on Kuhn, perhaps fortunate to get away with it. Aberdeen have a free kick up the pitch. They trail then 1-0 just beyond the half hour. Jamie McGrath over this free kick. Remember, they were 2-0 down to Celtic inside their own stadium a couple of weeks ago and got a draw out of it. So still plenty time for the Dons as McGrath's free kick comes into the box towards the back post area where Devlin was, but headed behind for the corner by Hatate. And Aberdeen have their first corner of the semi-final as they try and find the equaliser.
Yeah, Schmeichel, you don't think he could have, took a little bit more control there?
That's what I'm saying. Come and take the ball, take the pressure off. Don't allow Aberdeen to have any sniff of anything. And you know, they've given away the corner now. It keeps the pressure on them.
Out-swinging corner from McGrath, though the referee's having a word with a couple of players inside the box. See Celtic take those short corners so often. They try and work things from the training ground, and then they find themselves scoring from a simple corner straight into the box and headed home. What can Aberdeen come up with here? Celtic with everyone bar Kuhn back. In it comes off the head of Rubizic, but it flashes wide on that far side where Engels clears. Malloy gets onto it, knocks it back forward. With Sivert Nielsen, left-hand side, pulls it into the midfield, a little bit short with that though. Rubizic loses out to Maida, who might get back onto this. He's driving forward, dies in. Maida galloping into the box. McKenzie's back there, it's still Maida, he sits feet off down. Kyogo will score! In off the bar, and Celtic double the lead in double quick time. League Cup specialist Kyogo, twice he scored doubles in the final of this tournament, and Celtic with a lightning counter-attack. Slack from Aberdeen, yes. Punishing from Celtic, though. And Kyogo fires it home into the empty goal. It is Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0, and Celtic have 1 foot in the final.
Yeah, well, listen, Aberdeen had possession on the edge of the Celtic box. It was a slack pass, I thought, from Nielsen. Kind of short pass, and Celtic were onto it like a flash, and then they work it. Maeda does the initial work by winning it, and then Kuhn picks him out again, and I thought the chance was gone, but he did brilliantly to actually use his body strength to just push off. Was it McKenzie that he pushed off, and then just set up Kyogo for the I wouldn't say it was a simple finish, but it was a free shot at goal that he hits off the underside of crossbar into the back of the net.
Well, you could say it was an accurate strike at goal, but he nearly puts it over the bar. You can see what he's trying to do, lift it over Mitov to find the back of the net, but it slides off the underside of the bar. The important thing for Celtic is it's a goal from an Aberdeen point of view. Nielsen's short pass, and Rubizic, he doesn't get on, he then commits himself. Maeda does magnificently well though to get the little touch and then play the little 1-2 and set up Kyogo, and from then on in it's a matter of Kyogo keeping his head. There's an elbow into a face there, I would suggest.
Yeah, that's a yellow card.
Yeah, it's Sockler who's been booked.
Sockler's taken that guy out of it, and the referee was right behind him, so yeah, definitely
it's a carbon copy of 2 weeks ago. The goals have come just slightly later. It's 2 goals in 3-4 minutes for Celtic today, as it was at Celtic Park 2 weeks ago. And now they find themselves where they were in that game, 2-0 to the good. Only this time Brendan Rodgers will be hoping they can see it through. But again, Packy, it's almost exactly the same.
Exactly the same, and you know, in that game, I was saying, you know, during commentary and so on, if Celtic could get the third goal, the game would be over. But he didn't, and he allowed Aberdeen into it, and that gave them. And we've known that Aberdeen this season can come back, but Celtic need to manage, if they're going to learn anything, which was asked before this game started from Kenny, they've got to learn how to manage this game now and not get caught as they have done in the past.
Yeah, McGregor caught in the ball there. There's Shinnie forward to McGrath, left hand side of the pitch. And he turns it back to McKenzie, up against Kyogo over on the far side touchline. It's another loose ball, and Aberdeen have had possession tonight. They have not made good use of it at all. Numi Taline's unbeaten start to life as Aberdeen manager is under incredible pressure now. Teetering on the brink perhaps as Rubezic looks up, long ball looking for Sockler. Trusty is over it though, heads it away, and then Maida with a really calm cushion header back to his goalkeeper. He's been outstanding so far, Daizen Maida. 35 in, Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, he's been good. He's back to where he was. That trip to Japan at the international window just took the edge off his game. You could see it, but he's now had come back, and he's a couple of weeks further on, and his pace. But you cannot leave a short pass in the middle of the pitch when you're up against the likes of Maeda, Kyogo, those players, because they close you down so quickly. You've got to get your passes away with a bit of sharpness and accuracy.
Yeah, they're all over the place, Aberdeen, at that stage. They've lost their discipline.
Here they come again, Celtic. Kuhn down the right hand side of the Aberdeen box, dancing into the area, looking for some space. Shimmies away from Duke, rolls it back to the edge of the box for McGregor. Rolls it back to Trusty, out to this near side with Maida at the left angle of the box, comes back the way away from goal and rolls it back to Trusty, and then into the centre circle for Carter Vickers, who'll then fire it out to the far side. Poor ball for Johnston, and it goes out for a throw-in over on that far side. From an Aberdeen point of view, Willie, two simply awful goals to concede here in such a huge match. Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. I think the set-piece one, really disappointing. You know, Carter Vickers, he's a big figure to pick up, and you've got to get someone close to him. You've got to get someone to, you know, actually make it difficult for him to head that into the back of the net, and that just didn't happen. The second one, they were all over the place. The shape had gone, the discipline had gone. You know, Nielsen's short pass was woeful. Rubezic as well.
Here comes Keskinen driving forward up to the edge of the box. Brilliant slide recovery challenge by Engels to get it back to his goalkeeper. Willie, I think Aberdeen are going to make subs. Maybe not just one over the course of the next few minutes, so keep an eye on it. Celtic looking to put this tie to bed before the break. Engels driving forward, challenged by McCoy, who puts it out into the north stand over on the far side, and Celtic have a throw-in. Yemi Taline looking to his bench. We'll get news of that from Tyrone Smith, who's our pitchside reporter, in just a moment. Celtic on the attack with Johnston on the far side, decides to go back to McGregor. Next goal now, if there is to be another one, crucial in the tie. Celtic get it. You saw Aberdeen come from 2-0 down in this very city 2 weeks ago. They're not coming from 3 down against this Celtic side. Highly unusual to come from 2-0 down against them, as it was the first time in 14 years that Celtic had surrendered a 2-0 lead at home to a domestic side. Celtic have the ball all the way back at the edge of their own box, so Tyrone can bring us news of big changes in the Aberdeen team.
Yeah, Jimmy Tallini just had a very long chat with his coaching staff, and it looks like he's not going to wait to half time to try and change the effect of this match. Antti Palaversa, he's currently getting stripped. It looks like he's about to come on. Shaden Morris, he's just been called off the substitutes benches. He's now going through a pretty strict warm-up, so it's looking like it's going to be Palaversa anyway, who certainly looks to be coming on before the break.
Well, they're getting overrun in midfield, Willie, aren't they?
Well, you know, it's a formation they're playing as well, Liam, because Jamie McGrath is so close to Sockler up top that they've just got that too. And when you start to stretch the game after the first goal, and that's what happened when you start stretching the game, and there's huge gaps for Celtic to occupy and take advantage of. You know, Palaversa coming on, does he go keep the two sitting midfield players and put Palaversa in then? If he does that, then what does he do with you know, does McGrath go into a wide area and Keskinen stay on? Duke hasn't done much for me. I think he would be a prime target to come off if Palaversa was to come on, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think obviously Taline's not happy.
No, he could put Jimmy McGrath out, not as an out-and-out winger on the left, but maybe play with a bit of a box in midfield to strengthen that part of the pitch up.
I just think they need ball carriers, you know. And for me, maybe early in the game, Duke looked as though he was up for it, but And defensively, I don't think he's been good at all. I don't think he's taken the responsibility defensively, and he seems to be walking a lot. You can see him at this moment in time. You know, the head's down, the body language isn't good. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what Tulleen decides.
Celtic have it on the right-hand side with Kuhn up against Malloy, moves it infield to Kyogo. He's got Hatate and Maida to his left. It breaks back to Kuhn, he's at the edge of the area. He's got it into Maida, he scores! 3-0! 3-0 Celtic, they're heading to the final! So simple! And Maida, 7 or 8 yards from goal, and the simple task of rifling it past Mitov to give Celtic a surely now unassailable advantage, and Aberdeen's unbeaten start to the season, unbeaten in 90 minutes since March, is crumbling at the National Stadium. It is Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0. The dawn's being blown away.
Yeah, the only thing you could say to them now, if this fog come back in or this smoke come back in, because they're 3-0 down, and it's really, and they had a chance to again nip that one in the bud, but I think they had a chance on Kyogo just there. I think it was Nielsen again, and Kuhn came in, took the ball off, and a lovely little penetrating pass for a penetrating run from Maeda. Nicky Devlin didn't pick him up again. He's coming in on the blind side of him, and a really good finish, bent it round the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's timed his run absolutely perfectly, hasn't he, Maeda? And Kuhn, what a pass that was, the weight, the angle, and you know what Maeda then has to do is just keep his calm. He's done everything right, and he keeps his calm magnificently well, and he just guides it into the back of the net. And Aberdeen once again all over the place. That 4 up top, the 2 in midfield getting dragged forward as well. Huge gaps, huge spaces out there in Hampden. We know it's a big pitch. We know it's a big pitch. You can't allow space like that against a team of this quality.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And the two midfielders have got to slide across, because the two wide players are almost playing like out-and-out wingers, and that's a problem. If they play a little bit more deeper and a little bit more inside, then you can keep the distances right, but they're so stretched, and Celtic are just exploiting that so well, because there's no pressure really on the ball with the centre halves also, and they're able to pick the passes, knock it in, and inverted full-backs coming into those spaces, and the wingers staying wide. They can pick the passes and just almost progress up the pitch with ease.
But Celtic in this mood, though, they're an angry beast, aren't they? And they're a skillful outfit as well, and you know, the little intricate combination passes as well, and the clinical finishing. You know, when they hit this kind of a top form, that it's going to be really difficult for Aberdeen. But Aberdeen have, you know, they've created a lot of their own downfall as well. Well organised early in the game, but after that first goal went in, they've been all over the place. You know, huge gaps for Celtic to exploit.
And actually, Willie, when they needed one of their, if not their best performance of the season, they've conjured up their worst one. That's to take nothing away from Celtic. They've been rampant tonight, and they're heading to the final. 3-0 up.
It was almost, you know, going back to maybe what Aberdeen have done in the past, where they've kind of sat off Celtic. Even though they've got a 4 up front, they haven't really put a lot of pressure. The 2 centre halves had such an easy game so far, just passing the ball square, knocking it, waiting for the moment, and they've had no real pressure on them. And that's been a big difference. And also, when they did win the ball, Aberdeen, Celtic won the ball back almost.
Yeah, and here they come again. Baye's ball down the left-hand touchline. Devlin this time gets there ahead of Maida, rolls it to Nielsen. Back to Devlin, Maida charging it down, and out it goes for the throw, and that draws applause from his manager Brendan Rodgers down there. He'll be absolutely elated with the performance this evening. They've looked a little bit cumbersome. I think it's taken them a little while, Packy, to recover from the beating in Dortmund, but this has been more like it. Yeah,
well listen, we know how they're going to be set up, that's for sure. The counter-pressing today has worked well. They've controlled the game. And they haven't given Aberdeen, and then when the chances came along, they took them more or less. You know, they haven't created a lot of chances in the game, but the ones that almost were presented to them, they've taken the chances.
Been ruthless, been absolutely ruthless, no question.
But they've dominated the game. I mean, they've absolutely dominated the proceedings out there. Aberdeen have been disappointing. I thought early on their shape looked pretty solid. But then after that first goal, they've just went all to pieces. And I don't think they've had enough for the wide players. They haven't had enough from the ball carriers. I've been disappointed with Duke's performance. I don't know, his body language and the way he's strutting about there.
Well, they've thought twice about the changes, Willie. They're not happening now. They probably will at the break, but they're not happening now.
So maybe I just thought the one so, and just took him off because, I don't see what he's offering. And Keskinen's not that far behind him as well. So I don't know what Jimmy Tillene's going to do. He's sticking with McGrath being up there and the high press, but once these two sitting midfield players detach themselves to the back four, then the gaps are there to be exploited.
Celtic 21-time winners as Brendan Rodgers kicks the ball onto the pitch and slips as he does so.
Decent pass.
He's waving at the Celtic fans. He can have a laugh about it. The ref's going to book him because he's booted the ball away.
Away you go.
That is an incredible clip. If you get a chance to see this.
I don't think he was trying to kick the ball away. I think he just slipped.
2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half. Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0. Celtic cruising through to the final. We were all giving it the big build-up, of course, as Aberdeen with Duke at the edge of the Celtic box lane to try and get something back. To the right of the area, it's with Sockler. Low ball to Devlin, it bounces off him and goes behind for the goal kick. It's been that kind of evening for Aberdeen. Those Dons fans who've made the long journey down from the northeast through those awful roadworks just to the north of the Friarton Bridge as well, which have added to the journey, have been left in misery off to our left. Willie Miller, nothing to cheer at all.
I'm not laughing at your words there as far as Aberdeen supporters are concerned. Yeah, it's been a difficult night, but I'm watching the replay of Brendan Rodgers coming out. He's not on the pitch. He's barely out his technical area. He has a swipe with the left foot. He falls on his backside and the yellow card comes out. For me, it should have been a Joker's card, not a yellow's card.
It was a moment of comedy.
I thought you were going to say a red card there for a minute. A Joker's card, absolutely.
Headed away by Devlin. Here's Maida. We're into the second of 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end. Celtic looking for a fourth goal. They have been 4 up at half-time in a League Cup semi against Aberdeen before. Back when Chris Commons was his debut, wasn't it? He opened the scoring in the opening 5 or 6 minutes. It was 4-0 at half-time back in 2011. Craig Brown had to apologise to the Aberdeen supporters as Johnston picks up, fires the low ball across, cut out by Malloy. Now it's with Shinnie over on the far side. Goes back to McKenzie, fires it forward first time up towards Sockler. He's lost out in the battle though. Kyogo, lovely touch there by Johnston, rolls it to Hatate, sets himself and shoots over the crossbar, and it will stay Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0, and that looks like it's going to be the half-time scoreline. Yeah,
Wally, just looking at the two midfielders, obviously Nielsen and Shinnie, that's half-time. They've no chance in there because of there so many players coming into those pockets. They have no chance.
More woe for Aberdeen against Celtic. It's a fixture they simply can't win. And whilst they earned plaudits a fortnight ago from coming from 2-0 down in the second half to take a point from Celtic Park, it's going to take an effort of gargantuan proportions to be able to come back into this now, because Celtic have absolutely blown them away in that first half. Once again, Celtic scoring goals in gluts, as they can do, we know that, and their 3 goals came in a period of 11 minutes. Carter Vickers opening the scoring just before the half hour. Kyogo made it 2 just a few minutes later before Maida on 40 made it 3. Aberdeen thought they'd weathered the storm in the opening half hour. Not so. And it is a heck of a long way back for the undefeated Dons this season. They are staring into the abyss of a first defeat of the campaign in the biggest game of their campaign so far. For Celtic, it's looking like a seamless march through to yet another League Cup final, having gone out at the first hurdle last term. At half-time at Hampden, Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0.
The Scottish League Cup.
This is the chance they've been waiting for. Cross-court comes back for it.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland. next week.
Brilliant result for Celtic.
Celtic will be looking for a 5th of November to remember in the Champions League.
Celtic versus RB Leipzig. Tuesday night from 6.
What a defensive performance.
Then on Thursday,
A fourth goal for Rangers arrives.
Olympiacos versus Rangers from 5.
A big night in the Europa League.
and Hearts welcome Heidenheim when they play in the UEFA Conference League from 8.
It has been all Hearts.
Where and when is the final? Brilliant for Hearts tonight.
European football lives here.
You know this. Game on. Listen on your digital radio or by asking your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Scotland Extra.
You're listening to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, bringing you full coverage of the first of the League Cup semi-finals. We've reached half-time. I don't think anyone would have predicted this score, given the way the season has gone for both Celtic and Aberdeen. Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0. Looking at the match stats, very even in terms of possession. 7 shots for Celtic, 3 on target, 3 goals. Just a 1 shot from the Dons, none on target. And they so far have not been at it. A big job to do for Jimmy Tulline at half-time. Earlier in the day, we brought you commentary from one of the 2 games in the top flight this afternoon. It finished St Johnstone 1, Hearts 2. A Nicky Clark own goal, putting Hearts ahead in 23 minutes. Nicky Clark equalising the penalty spot on 68. Kenneth Vargas with the winner on 76. We'll hear from Neil Critchley shortly. Also St Mirren 0, Ross County 0. St Mirren the big chance of the game. Greg Kilty with a penalty saved in the first half by Ross Ladle. Let's then get to Hampden Park and hear more from Pat Bonner and from Willie Miller. Celtic very impressive and very clinical in that first half, Pat.
Yeah, very much so. They control the game. Aberdeen, I thought they were very passive in the way that they sort of can almost approach Celtic today. Higher up the pitch, it was, even though they had 4 players in that vicinity, they didn't actually go and put any real pressure on the 2 centre-halves. 2 centre-half then could play it, wait for the moment, and then the rotation in midfield between Atati, Ingles and McGregor, and the fullbacks also been able to go in there. I think it was a really difficult job for the 2 holding players to deal with that. They were pulled all over the place, and Celtic just controlled the game. I was maybe slightly critical early on where they didn't maybe pick out some crosses, good opportunities, and they put crosses in, but they were a bit wasteful. But then when the opportunities came along, obviously Willie can talk about the corner, straightforward corner, good pace in the ball into an area, and Carter Vickers using that body strength we know that he has, getting up among everybody, and a really good header into the box, and that set the tone. Then Aberdeen then just fell apart really, and then they give the ball away for the second goal, and the game, I think, Celtic have learned from maybe that first game where they were 2-0 up and they got that all-important third goal. So that's been the story, I think, of the game. Aberdeen have not been in it, and they've been stretched all over the place. And again, Wooly will speak about it. When you have 2 wingers, you play with a striker, 2 wingers, and Jimmy McGrath push it on to, you're almost having 4 players out of that defensive unit when Celtic have the ball. They're not putting enough pressure on to force Celtic backwards. That means then the Celtic can pick the passes, penetrate that midfield, that first press, and the 2 midfielders, and the fullbacks can't step in there or the centre halves, because they're up against quality 3 forward players. If Kuhn comes in the inside, Johnson will go wide. Johnson comes in the inside, Kuhn will stay wide, and the same on the opposite side. And Celtic are just almost it's too easy for them, I think, Wally, would be what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the gap between the 2 sitting midfield players. I thought it was looking okay, because the back 4 were sitting. When I say okay, I still thought, and I says in commentary, that the back 4 should be pushing up, much higher to make sure that the gaps are closed. But with the 2 sitting midfield players sitting in front of them, then you've got 6 defending, and it looked okay from a defensive point of view. It was still the 4 up top though. McGrath was playing way up, just off Sokla, but the pressure wasn't put on because Celtic could play out of it because of the gap between the 2 sitting midfield players and the 4 forward players. And then when the first goal went in, it was just they just lost their discipline completely.
Yeah, but
the two sitting midfield players started going and challenging out in wide areas and tried to take part. Nielsen tried to take part in being the creative player, when really he's a destroyer. Him and Shinnie should have just sat there.
Yeah, but that's why they need Duke to come in 10 yards and almost play as an inside left. The same with Kes on the right hand side, but they're staying so wide. Yeah. They're staying so wide when Celtic have the ball, and that space either side of McKinney and Nielsen or Shinnie. Sorry, not McKinney. My God, that's gone back to the good old days. The good old days. Shinnie and Nielsen. The space is far too big, and Celtic are exploiting it. They're either going into those pockets and then they're breaking forward, and the pace that they have, they're destroying Aberdeen.
Yeah, but the first goal is just a dreadful goal. You've got Carter Vickers, big centre half, he's up there. There's 3 Aberdeen players round about him. Mackenzie's there, Malloy is behind him, Mackenzie's to the side of him, and Devlin's actually there taking no responsibility either. So, and he's well above the 3 of them. There is a yard of a circumference, and he's in the middle of it. There's 3 red jerseys round about him, and he's up above them all. And it's a great delivery. It's a fantastic header, but defensively just dreadful for me. And I'm sure they must have worked on it. Surely you would say, well, we've got to pick up Carter Vickers. We must have someone on him, but there wasn't anyone on him. And then they just went to pieces after that. They haven't really had any control of the game, Aberdeen, but they were coping with the threat of Celtic up until that first goal went in. And then they were all over the place. For me, the 2 white players are doing absolutely nothing. They're supposed to be ball carriers. They're supposed to get you up the park. Duke done it, I think, on 2 occasions. Keskinen hasn't done it at all. And defensively, I think Duke has been really poor, not taking the responsibility of Johnson going forward and trying to make it difficult for the Celtic full-back. Jimmy Tillene, you would imagine, has got to make changes. 3-0 down at half-time. He's had a fine reputation for making the changes and being able to turn games round. It's a huge ask now to turn this game round, because Celtic are on fire, and when they play like this, when Celtic have got the confidence and they start zipping the ball about and combining as well as they're combining and being ruthless in front of goal, then it's going to be a difficult evening this evening, and it has been for Aberdeen, unfortunately.
Yeah, Celtic very good. Full second half. Commerce has come. We'll give the guys a wee break there at the National Stadium. As I said, we kicked off on Sportsline at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Our first commentary match came from McDermott Park. St Johnstone 1, Hearts 2. Let's hear from the Hearts manager, Neil Critchley. He spoke with Brian McLaughlin.
Neil, you must be exhausted just watching it. It was quite an incredible 90-odd minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a really entertaining game. And you're right, I'm shattered, so God knows how the players are feeling. We had to work really hard for that, particularly in the second half. Thought we started the game really well. Thought we showed a good response from Wednesday night. Played on the front foot, attacking, lots of corners, finally scored from one. And I thought we played well first half. Second half, we had to suffer. But I thought a response again from going 1-1, it's almost like that gave us a lift. And we responded to that brilliantly well. And then we've had to see the game out and put lots of bodies on the line, head the ball out of the box, defend set pieces, and maybe that's shown that we can win in different ways, which is really pleasing.
In terms of the way the team finished the match with that energy, and as you say, defending as they did, there's no concerns about fitness levels or that, is there?
No, I thought we've even Kilmarnock the other night, I know we were losing, but we finished the game strongly. Look at the Derby game. And today, we've had to really put a shift in physically. And then that comes down to your mentality, your willingness to work. And we've got to show that in any game, regardless of the scoreline, we've got to show that we'll go right to the death and fight and scrap and do everything we can to win a game of football, because that's what it takes.
Yeah, a good win for Neil Critchley's Hearts team today. Looking at the table, they are now off the bottom. They are level with Dundee on 9 points. Hibs are bottom, 2 points adrift. Having said that, they do have 2 games in hand on their city rivals. As for St Johnstone, they are 9th in the table, 10 points from their opening 12 games. Let's now hear the thoughts of their manager, Simo Valakari.
Simo, your reaction to the game today? It was, first of all, as a neutral watching it, was a fantastic game of football. I'm not sure if it was exciting, for yourself.
We played well. But I'm not here to say that I'm happy. No. I want that Giants Johnston is not a team who will play nice football, entertaining football and losing the matches. No. We are here to win football matches. But when we can play good football, it gives us a chance to be successful. And as we saw today, this league, it's so small margins. We all know it. So we just need to work better to turn these small margins on our side. But what the boys, our players, what they put on the field, I can't ask more. It's there. Now it's just a matter of to put these small margins to work on our side.
Same with Alacara there. I have to say, I think this team played quite well today. They certainly created plenty of chances, but Hearts running out victors in the end. A disappointing game in Paisley. St Mirren 0, Ross County 0. Greg Kilty's penalty saved in the first half by Ross Laidlaw. Just waiting for the teams to come back out at the National Stadium. Willie Miller, how concerned are you that this could turn into a really sore one tonight and have an impact on players that so far have been full of momentum, full of confidence?
Well, obviously it's a blow. I mean, half-time 3-0 down, not played really, not threatened Celtic, and losing their discipline after that first goal going in, shape all over the place. So there's a lot to figure out, there's a lot to sort out. And I think Jimmy Tillene is in the process just now. We'll have to wait and see, Kenny, what he's going to do. But obviously Morris is there. Palaversa might come on, give him a little bit more strength in the midfield area. Play with the 4-3-3, but have Nielsen, Shinnie and Palaversa. I've already had my opinion about Duke. I don't think it's his night tonight. I think Morris could come on. McGrath hasn't been in the game. You could pick between McGrath and Keskinen, but probably McGrath possibly the one to make way for Palaversa to come on, and Duke just hasn't done it for me. And when he has games like that and he's got the body language that's telling me that it's negative, and at times Johnson's going forward and he's not taking responsibility to help out his defence either. So him coming off and Morris going on, I think a couple of changes like that would certainly help. But there's a lot for Jimmy Tillene to think about. It'll be an interesting one because he hasn't been in this position before, so it'll tell us going forward how he deals with adversity, and it is adversity at half-time. This is a really important game. Everything's been going swimmingly well for him. He hasn't had to answer any difficult questions. That's no disrespect to Tyrone, because he just answers the questions the same way all the time. But if it's 3-0 and if it's going on 4 or 5 at the end of this game, then the difficult questions will have to be answered.
Yeah, no doubt at all about that. It's been terrific so far this camp. So I've just seen a replay of Brendan Rodgers again slip in there. It's really unfortunate. That'll be played again and again and again. But he'll be delighted with his performance. The performance from his team in the first half there at the National Stadium. 1 foot already in the League Cup final. The second semi-final tomorrow. Live coverage on Sports, and that one is Motherwell against Rangers. So let's get back to the first of the semis. Celtic cruising against Aberdeen. Let's get back to Pat Bonner, Willie Miller and Liam McLeod.
Keskinen and Duke off, Palaversa and Morris on. That looked like it was going to be a change that Tillene was going to make at 2-0. So the Aberdeen players are out. Celtic still waiting on them. The two linesmen come out down below us as well. But it looks like a thankless task for Aberdeen now against this rampant Celtic team. The Dons have lost each of the last 9 Hampden Cup meetings with Celtic. They haven't beaten them in 11 meetings at Hampden. There were 2 league games in 94-95. Celtic with a massive goal difference advantage on the aggregate there as well. Callum McGregor leads the Celtic players back out in the tunnel down below us. They've now scored in each of the last 23 meetings against Aberdeen since a goalless draw in 2019. And Aberdeen's run of just 4 clean sheets extends to 121 games against Celtic. It's astonishing. Celtic normally good for at least a goal against Aberdeen. They've got 3 of them. And a bitterly disappointing evening for the Don supporters who are here, obviously in good numbers, some 14,000 of them. The Celtic seemingly cruise their way to a 37th appearance in the Scottish League Cup final. It will be Celtic to kick off the second half. They're going to shoot from left to right towards the east end of the stadium in the green and white hoops. Aberdeen all in red, having made those changes. It's game on again. And it'll be really interesting to see how Aberdeen approach the second half here. Of course, they came from 2-0 down at the break 2 weeks ago. Celtic are playing a whole lot better in this one as Schmeichel knocks it into touch for a throw-in on the near side. Now, Esther Sockler scored pretty early on in the second half to get the resurrection going in the league match. As Malloy picks up on this near side, clips the ball forward all the way through to Schmeichel. And the Celtic goalkeeper will bowl it to Trusty. No changes for Celtic, unsurprisingly. Schmeichel in goal. They're at full strength tonight. Johnston, Carter, Vickers, Trusty, Baye, Engels, McGregor, Atate, Kuhn, Maida with Kyogo. Aberdeen win it back on the right. Here's Shayden Morris. Pulls it across, but takes a little nick and it comes through to Schmeichel, who'll hold on. Aberdeen then with Mitov in goal, Devlin, Rubezic, Malloy, and Mackenzie at the back. Nielsen, Shinnie and Palaversa now in the middle. Morris is wide. Jamie McGrath on the left, Morris on the right, Sockler through the middle.
Yeah, but the difference is position-wise. Jamie McGrath played that inside left position. He won't be away wide and allowing big spaces. Shinnie will work Jamie's position and work up and down the pitch. He won't just stand up on top of McGregor.
Rubezic has given it away to Kyogo, whose ball forward's cut out by Malloy. And then Nielsen knocks it into the feet of Morris, who got the winner against Rangers in the week there. I mean, if Aberdeen come back into this, it's going to be one of the all-time historic comebacks. But here comes Celtic, Aberdeen giving it away. It's Hatate on the far side, spins away from several challenges, rolls it to Engels. McGrath nicks it back though, and now Shinnie will try and drive forward. He's only got Sockler ahead of him though, and he has to check his run. Turns round looking for Palaversa. Hatate slides in to win it back, and now it's Johnston. Celtic have strangled this game. Aberdeen have just not had any period in it where they've looked like they're in control at all. It's always going to be a tall order. They beat Rangers the other night. They haven't beaten Rangers and Celtic back to back in the same week since 1979. Steve Archibald got the winner against Rangers at Ibrox before Mark McGee did likewise against Celtic to take them through a League Cup quarter-final 7 days later. Willie to my right played in both those matches. There have been numerous examples of playing Celtic and Rangers in the 1 week since then. They haven't managed to win both of them. Winning a draw is the best. They've managed to muster when the fixtures have collided. It's Carter Vickers who got Celtic scoring underway in the first half, rolls it back to Schmeichel. Out to the left-hand side for Baye. He was all the way back to his goalkeeper. Well, the message from Brendan Rodgers, Packy, had been go out there, score more goals, get this game done.
Keep moving the ball, keep looking at big open pitch, exploit the spaces, but movement of the ball and movement of players ahead of the ball and manage the game.
It's back with Trusty, who squares it to Carter Vickers. The Aberdeen fans still singing away off to our left. It's been a wonderful season. They'll hope that this isn't going to be something that takes the train right off the track, but here come Celtic down the right with Kuhn up to the edge of the Aberdeen box, going all the way himself here. He still has it, saved by Mitov, but Maida pops it home in the back post, and it is a fourth goal for Celtic. And it's brilliant from Nicholas Kuhn to set the whole thing up. It deflected through to Maida, who knocked it into the empty net. It's another simple finish. And Aberdeen's unbeaten start to the season is being utterly destroyed by the silverware collecting machine that is Celtic here early in the second half. It is Celtic 4, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, listen, that was a great run from Kuhn, take nothing away, carrying the ball. You talked about carrying, ball players who can take the ball from one end to the other, and he'd done that brilliantly. Got a little bit of luck at the end where he's deflected off the goalkeeper and into the path that made it an easy finish. But without that run and that carry, the opportunity doesn't come along. But Aberdeen have been again disappointed. They should have dealt with that in the halfway line, Willie.
Yeah, that's where it should have been stopped. There's no doubt about that. And Nielsen again diving in, bit of a culprit there. I don't know what he's thinking about because he's nowhere near the ball. Kuhn does brilliantly well, just drives it to the heart of the Aberdeen defence. Yeah, there's a little bit of good fortune as it falls to Maeda, but for me, you're absolutely spot on. You know, I think it's McKenzie and Nielsen out here on the touchline as the ball falls to Kuhn. It's got to be stopped there. The tackle has got to be much better. Nielsen, with his experience, should make sure that he gets that tackle in, or just stays on his feet, and then he can maybe recover and try to help and stop and Kuhn make that run to the heart of the defence. So, you know, it's 4-0. It is. Can you see any way back? You can't see any way back for Aberdeen. They haven't been at it. They haven't had any control of the game, and it's now looking like a very sore defeat for them in this semi-final.
Yeah, and still so much of it to play as well. The Celtic fans in the mood to party. They want the treble this season. They were denied it because of their performance in this competition, going out to Kilmarnock at the first hurdle last season. They have unceremoniously put Aberdeen to the sword here as the Dons pick up with Rubezic on the right hand side. Rolls it out to the touchline for Devlin, up the line to Morris, and then back to Devlin, who rolls it to Nielsen, shifts it to the left of the circle for Gavin Malloy, out to McKenzie on this near side. We haven't seen McKenzie or Devlin as an attacking threat at any point in this game. That's been completely snuffed out. McKenzie's header to the left of the Celtic box for Jamie McGrath, who's offside. Celtic 4, Aberdeen 0.
You need some control of the game, Liam, to bring your full-backs into it. And Aberdeen haven't had control back here. Do you agree?
No, I agree totally. Celtic have totally controlled the game. They've been allowed to control the game for a major part. I thought the second half, but that was a mistake. McKenzie's almost ran beyond Nielsen. I don't know who he was tracking, but he can almost forgot about the ball and just ran with the player and took himself right out of the game. And that left a space then for Kuhn to go and exploit, and there was nobody able to come across because the midfielder was gone. You're looking maybe for a centre half then to try to get across to kill that space, and it didn't allow him to track all the way into the box and eventually get a shot at the goalkeeper. And, yeah, that's very, very poor from that perspective from Aberdeen. You know, they've been their own downfall, really, isn't it? Well, the architects of it.
Trusty out to Maeda, left hand side of the box, where he wildly fires it high and behind for a goal kick. 52 played, 4-0 Celtic. Second semi-final to come tomorrow. It's Motherwell against Rangers. Will that be a closer affair than this one? As Malloy takes the goal kick straight back to Mito, who's on the 6-yard line. And he's taking his time over this. Kyogo makes a run towards him. Mitov gets rid of it. Sockler beaten in the jump by Trusty. Forward it comes to Hatate, fires it back into the centre circle for Engels. Simply, nobody in Scotland's living with Celtic when they play like this.
No, you're right. You know, and we did talk about that before the game. You know, when Celtic are on fire, then you know there isn't anyone in the land that can stop them. But they can make a better attempt of stopping them, and Aberdeen haven't done that. You know, they've made so many errors. They've been so detached at times. They've allowed, you know, huge spaces to be exploited by Celtic. When you do that, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of Aberdeen being poor and not organised properly, and Celtic being at the very top of their game.
Yeah, and listen, what Celtic have also done really well tonight, in my opinion, is that they've counter-pressed really quickly. Anytime they've lost the ball, there's been 2, 3, maybe 4 players at any given time can almost close them down, the Aberdeen player, to win that ball back, and that sort of selfless kind of almost work that you have to do, then that's a feature. I think it's been a feature of Celtic this year and most of the games that I've witnessed anyway. Obviously the Atalanta game was different because they had to defend the numbers and not really step out of their position too much, but in normal circumstances they're higher up the pitch, and that counter press has put them into a really good position.
Celtic have Rio Hatate down receiving treatment just now over on the far side. Just being helped off the pitch after the attention he was being given by the medics. And Hatate, well, they're 4-0 up, they're going through to the final. They've got a huge match against RB Leipzig at Celtic Park on Tuesday in the Champions League. You do not want to be taking any chances, so we might be seeing Paulo Bernardo before long. As Aberdeen pick up a throw in here, level the edge of the D of the Celtic box. McGrath takes it quickly back to Palaversa. will then with the left roll it back to the left of the circle for Malloy. Into Palaversa, the Croatian out to McKenzie on this left-hand side. Looks up at the Celtic penalty area. It's a low ball in. Was through Johnston, but Carter Vickers clears. McKenzie to Nielsen, back to the edge of the box. McGrath scups a shot at goal. It is a shot on target for Aberdeen for the first time this evening, but to call it a shot is a little bit of an exaggeration, because it's basically a pass right through to Kasper Schmeichel, and it stays Celtic 4, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, very disappointing, wasn't it, for James McGrath? He's better than that.
Here comes Celtic again, down the right. They are completely unrelenting. Kuhn has it, right-hand side of the Aberdeen box. Left-footed ball back to the edge, which is cut out by Palaversa. His ball forwards cut out as well, though. Johnston onto it. Nielsen with the challenge. McGrath has it at the edge of the area. Celtic just swarming over Aberdeen. Any time they've had the ball, they've just suffocated them.
Yeah, we've just seen an example of Schmeichel when he gets the ball. He volleys that ball out to the left-hand side and just picks up. I think it might have been Baye that was sort of in that position, and then he's just able to play it into Tati, and he switches the ball back over the other side to Kuhn. So they advance up the pitch, obviously within 3 passes. They're up at the edge of Aberdeen's box.
The Dons have the ball. Mitov bowling it to Rubedzic, right of the penalty area. Tati all over him. Ball forward towards Morris. A good little spin by Shayden Morris. Tries to get himself away from his man. He's got the free kick as well. It's a foul by Baye over on the far side, and it will be an Aberdeen free kick.
Yeah, he took it in well, didn't he? Shayden Morris there, you know, he controlled it, low centre of gravity, taking on Baye. For me, the full-back way too tight on top of him, you know, asking to be turned, you know, and Morris showing a real good bit of skill to be able to do that, and eventually the full-back has to give a free kick away.
And Mitov gave it straight to Kyogo. He was fortunate it dropped to Palaversa, and eventually Rubedzic heads it back to his goalkeeper. Mitov bowling it out to McKenzie on this near side. Back to Malloy. Edge of the box. Short ball to Palaversa. Then out to the right. There it goes for Rubedzic. Midway inside his own half. Out to the far side touchline. Long ball asking Sokler to try get onto it. Carter Vickers is favourite, and he gets there first. And he nods it back to Schmeichel. He makes such a difference to that Celtic defence.
Yeah, he's calm, he reads it well, you know, he doesn't commit too often, only commits when he feels that he's going to win the ball. He reads that situation perfectly well. You know, it's a decent ball from Rubedzic, to be perfectly honest, and Sokler trying to get on to it, but really it should be quite comfortable for centre-backs if they're thinking, and he's definitely a thoughtful centre-back, Carter Vickers.
Maida over on the left, midway inside the Aberdeen half, knocks it infield to Hitati, and back to McGregor, and back to Carter Vickers. Only 2 teams have got the better of Celtic in the last decade in this competition. Kilmarnock, who did it last term, Ross County have done it twice. Once at Celtic Park, and they ended that incredible domestic cup tie run, and in the semis here he went on to win the trophies. Nielsen slides in, and Kyogo an advantage to Celtic though. Baye to the edge of the box. Engels' little flick is blocked. Breaks back to Engels. Kuhn's inside the area. He scores! In off the woodwork. Nicholas Kuhn makes it 5. And it's been a magnificent show from Celtic this evening, and Kuhn has just put Aberdeen to bed and some. His effort there, he cut in on the left, he fires it under the crossbar. They just kissed its way into the net, and Aberdeen being torn asunder here. It is Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0. What a scoreline.
Yeah, what a strike, what a strike. Bends it in with that left foot into the top right-hand corner. Goalkeeper had no chance, but they lose the ball, Celtic at the edge of the box, but they won it back instantly. And you know, Ingles, I think it might have come out, they reacted quicker than the Aberdeen players, and as soon as the ball comes to Kuhn on that right-hand side, he's inside the box, and the defender needs to get closer, trying to stop him. There's a check in the goal for a possible offside maybe for Kuhn. Ingles maybe, I don't know, maybe it must have been higher up the pitch then, but certainly
yeah, they're going to have to check. They're checking this for an offside, so I think the message is this could take a minute or two, and the Celtic fans will enjoy this little break. As you can hear in the background, they're just waiting to celebrate this for a second time. And that Kuhn goal, if it stands, Willie Miller, 5-0 before the hour.
Yeah, you know, and they've deserved it. It's been wonderful to watch, very easy in the eye, some magnificent, you know, interpassing between the Celtic players, their understanding as well, their confidence and their finishing. I mean, ruthless finishing. I mean, if this doesn't stand, well, it doesn't stand, but at the same time, it's a magnificent finish from Kuhn, isn't it?
Yeah, Kevin Clancy's down there just waiting for the OK from the VAR, Andrew Dallas. And the goal is going to be given here. It's going to stand. It's 5-0. 5-0. What a reality check this is for Aberdeen, and what a joyous night it is for Celtic.
Yeah,
they're romping to the final.
The difference between the two teams is that Celtic have total control of the game, and they're passing that ball with absolute ease through any sort of kind of almost pressure that Aberdeen are trying to put on them. And then, of course, if they do lose it, they're counter-pressing themselves really well to win it back. So they're total in control, Willie, and it's a tough. It's a tough night for Aberdeen. It's a wake-up call, maybe slightly, that you can do all the good stuff, but when it comes down to the big games like this here, you've got to maybe get a bit of more luck than normal.
90% chance to win a trophy in this country, you're going to have to come through Celtic, and Aberdeen have come up so short tonight. The Celtic are ruthlessly going about their business as Kuhn finds Johnston, and now you've got to wonder how damaging this scoreline's going to be. It already is.
No, it is, but you've got to recover from it. And you know, Jimmy Tillene, I'm sure after the game will be saying, well, you know, it's a game that's now passed and we look forward to the next game. He's not going to give you any sensational lines, I don't think. No, he will be hugely disappointed with the performance and you know, the lack of organisation, the lack of control that Aberdeen have had in this game. They're better than this, but you've got to give credit to Celtic. They've been in top form, and when they're in this kind of form, I tell you, I don't know if there's any team in Scotland that can live with them. But Aberdeen should have done better, could have done better at, you know, all 5 goals probably, but it's been ruthless finishing as well.
Yeah.
Celtic on the ball in the centre circle, 62 on the clock. Tyrone Smith can bring us news of a triple Celtic change.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers has given 3 of his players a chance to take a few steps along. Hampden, Easy Street, Greg Taylor, Liam Scales and Paolo Bernardo are all patiently waiting to get introduced to proceedings.
Yeah, we shall see who for, albeit I think most of these will be pretty obvious. Hatate, you would think, will come off. Baye coming off, Taylor on, and will it be Trusty or Carter Vickers who will be replaced? As I mentioned, Bernardo comes on for Engels rather than Hatate. Paki, they've got that massive game against Leipzig on Tuesday evening, and it is Carter Vickers who's going to come off for Liam Scales. So probably with an eye on Tuesday, they're in a position, Paki, in the Champions League where, you know, want to get to 9 or 10 points, and the draw in Bergamo against Atalanta has given them a good basis, along with the win over Slovan Bratislava. It's a huge game for them on Tuesday, and you can understand why Brendan Rodgers making those changes now, with this game long since gone.
Yeah, but look at the changes they've made. Has it weakened them or made them stronger even? You know, Taylor and Scales have played all season. No weak link there, really. Maybe Taylor because he's not 100% match fit slightly, but Bernardo, who has had a great season, also has come into the team. So from that perspective, no different, and they'll fit in easily into the way and the rhythm that Celtic have played.
Free kick Celtic down on the near side, a foul by McGrath. So Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0. Still more than a quarter of this semi-final to play. Remember, here on Sportsound tomorrow, 3 o'clock kick-off, Motherwell against Rangers in the second of the last 4 clashes. But no matter who comes through that, you just can't see past this Celtic team right now. Now, those two sides who meet here tomorrow still have their dreams of winning this competition intact. Aberdeen's have been blown away here in Mount Florida. Palaversa with the ball forward. It will break to Morris. Taylor misjudges it. Shayden Morris into the penalty area. Puts the ball across. Takes a deflection all the way through to Schmeichel. Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0.
Well, they're up the park, Aberdeen, and you know, Morris being a little bit of a threat. Disappointed with the quality across into the box, right enough. You know, but Celtic had, you know, enough bodies to deal with it, and Aberdeen didn't have enough trying to connect and get himself into the box and try to get in the end of that cross. But it's a bit futile, but a little bit of pride perhaps to play for now for Aberdeen. It's been a really disappointing night for them, disappointing night for the Aberdeen fans, travelling down with high hopes and high expectations, but you know, I think it's just brought everybody down to earth perhaps with the drubbing that Aberdeen have had.
Trusty has it inside the D of his own box, finds Johnston out to this near side for Bernardo, rolls it back to Alistair Johnston, who's been excellent for Celtic again this season. And Schmeichel finds Hatate, rolls it out to the left for Scales, who had that loan spell at Aberdeen a couple of seasons ago. Looked like he was going to move there on a full-time basis a year past the summer. What a resurrection he's put together in his Celtic career, akin to that of Ryan Christie, who also had that loan at Aberdeen. A couple of loans at Pittodrie. That goes out for a Don's throw-in, which McKenzie bowls to Malloy, to Nielsen, who finds Malloy inside the Aberdeen box. And back to Mitov. A little short ball there to Rubezic to the right of the box. Out to the far side touchline for Devlin. His ball forwards cut out by Taylor though. Taylor's on it, he's got it infield to Hatate, looking up at the box, rolls it to Kyogo, tried to side foot it to Kuhn, but it's clear by McKenzie. They're just picking Aberdeen off it well.
Yeah, just again winning the ball back and driving forward. Taylor on that left-hand side since he's come on the pitch, and he played that inverted fullback position really well, as we know, and just causes another issue for Aberdeen.
It is Aberdeen on the ball here with Malloy just inside his own box, squares it to Rubezic, out to the right for Devlin, forward to Morris, touches it back to Palaversa, into Devlin, forward towards Morris, can't keep it in play, and out for a Celtic throw-in just over on the far side, level with the edge of the centre circle in front of the north stand. Well, Jimmy Tillene certainly built up plenty credit in the bank with the Aberdeen supporters, some of whom have decided to leave. And understand that many will stay because it has been an otherwise magnificent start to the campaign. They're obviously still unbeaten in the league. They've got that visit to Celtic Park out of the way. They are miles clear of the Edinburgh clubs, 9 clear of Rangers, level on points with Celtic at the top of the table. Wants to level on points with the team they're up against tonight. There's clearly still a huge chasm there, and perhaps Celtic driven on as well by the fact they did capitulate against the same team 2 weeks ago in the league inside their own stadium. It's not something they're used to. As Palaversa goes long looking for Sockler, but it comes all the way through to Schmeichel once more. But into the final quarter of the first semi-final, Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0, and Tyrone's got news of changes.
Yeah, changes for both sides. Liam, Aberdeen making a double change. It's Leighton Clarkson and Peter Ambrose waiting to come on, and Brendan Rodgers, he's gone to his bench again with Adam Ida, the man waiting to come on for Celtic.
Well, he's going to want to come on and score. He'll want to start against Leipzig.
Yeah, but the good news for everybody from Adam Ida's point of view is that he's fit, you know, because after that tackle the other night, he was hobbling around, he had to go to hospital for an x-ray, and the good news was there was no real damage, so he's recovered quite well, and he's wanting to get back in. It was a good ball.
McKenzie's early ball, Sockler's header's wide. Well, looked like he was going to pull one back for Aberdeen there. He dived towards the 6-yard line and puts it past the right-hand side of the goal frame, and it remains Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0. Kyogo will be replaced by Adam Ida. The 2 Aberdeen changes, well, no, they won't. Those 2, Clarkson and Ambrose, won't be thanking the manager for putting them into this situation, as Sockler is replaced by Ambrose, who scored the late winner against Dundee United this time last week, and Leighton Clarkson comes on for Sivert Nielsen. So changes there for Aberdeen, but it's all really academic for them, Willie, isn't it?
It is, you know, but that was a good move actually. I mean, it was a really good cross from Jack McKenzie for Sockler, and Sockler getting away from Scales dreaming a little bit at the back post, to be perfectly honest, and the header wasn't far away from finding the back of the net. But it has been a really difficult night for the Dons, and a lot for Jimmy Tillene to reflect upon, I would suggest. You know, the formation and perhaps the personnel as well, and how they reacted to that first Celtic goal, which was to just disintegrate and really lose all the discipline, all their shape that they had before that. So a lot to learn, I would suggest. As far as Brendan Rodgers is concerned, he'll be delighted, won't he? It's been a magnificent performance from Celtic. Top form.
Here's Maida, the left angle of the Aberdeen box. Turns away from goal, away from Morris, and rolls it back to McGregor.
Yeah, and the thing for Brendan Rodgers is that he can make these changes without putting anything at risk, and get every player on the pitch and look forward to the next games. You know, it's a great position to be in for a manager.
James Forrest is coming on for Celtic, 5-time League Cup winners medal. Sitting at home, he missed a few finals, which is why it's not more than that, and he's already closing in on Bobby Lennox as far as the all-time honours list at Celtic Football Club is concerned. And it may be that this is the season that he surpasses the great Lennox. Scales picks up on the left-hand side, down the line to Maida. Infield for Hatate. Out to this right flank for Kuhn. Kuhn then pops it through. Bernardo's in space, right-hand side of the Aberdeen box, looking for a run in at goal, but it's closed out eventually, and Shinnie gets it back to Mitov. Mitov's able to pick it up because it wasn't an actual pass back.
It was a good impersonation of a pass back, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was perhaps, you know, the referee deciding that 5 goals is maybe enough and not taking any action. Listen, I think there probably was a whole heap of accidental pass back in that one, but it was certainly a pass back.
Forrest will come on for Kuhn. Scored in no fewer than 3 League Cup finals, James Forrest, for Celtic. And he was a scorer against Aberdeen in last season's Scottish Cup semi-final. The Dons competed well in. Not so this evening. And there's still 18 minutes of the 90 to play. We were already 3-0 down at the interval. This game, of course, delayed by the pyrotechnics at the start of the match. It should really be drawing to a close around now. We're about 15 minutes behind schedule. It's just slightly over that when you take into account the stoppage time at the end of the first half. Hatate in the middle of his own half. It slips and Aberdeen have it with Palaversa. Palaversa fires it into the feet of Morris, wide in the right, level with the edge of the D of the Celtic box. Back it comes for Aberdeen to Palaversa into his own half for Ruvazic. Squares it to Antti Palaversa, a long ball forward, looking for Devlin, little flick in field to McGrath. McGrath right of the Celtic box, still the support from Devlin, back to Morris. High ball into the Celtic box, straight to Kasper Schmeichel. Business as usual for the Danish keeper, and it's Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, decent approach play, but again, poor cross, wasn't it? A big loopy cross into the goalkeeper's arms.
It's really not good enough, but you can understand why, Becky. You know, when you had a drubbing, it's 5-0. You know, see all that energy, all that momentum that Aberdeen had coming into the game has been drained out of them tonight. And you can see that, you know, Morris coming on usually as an impact player, but he's made no impact whatsoever. Duke, for me, first half, not good enough. Keskinen as well, you know, it's a big signing, Keskinen. You know, spent a lot of money on him, and you expect more from him, and just the general organisation disappointing. So I think it's really difficult for the players out there to find any kind of enthusiasm. Okay, the fans and a lot of them have left, but majority of them have stayed, so you're still trying to give them something. But yeah, you know, it's you're fighting against the tide, really, aren't you?
Sobering night for those in red for Celtic. They can look forward to the final. Here comes Maida as a last-ditch challenge there on the far side, and it's come off Maida last and behind for the goal kick. Aberdeen's next match is at home to Dundee next Saturday evening. It's another 5:30 kick-off for them. And another sellout, 4 sellouts in a row at Pittodrie there. And they continue, we'll hope, in the league, putting the results together. Their League Cup dreams obliterated here tonight on Glasgow's south side. Ambrose with the chest back towards Clarkson, one back by McGregor. Now it's with Hatate, lovely spin away from Palaversa. He's got Maida away again on his left, and Devlin's going to do well to stick with him here. Devlin fouled by Maida at the edge of the box, and that will be an Aberdeen free kick. He's got 2 goals tonight, Maida. He's taken his season's tally up to 8. He is the Celtic top scorer, and he's been excellent this campaign, packing such a huge player for them.
Such a difficult player to handle at times, you know. He's got an amazing turn of pace, and he did well there, Devlin, because he got himself kind of almost in front of him as he's running, just and almost dragged the foul out of him, you know. Otherwise, if he tried to win it in a race with him, he was never going to do it.
That was intelligent, you know, and Nicky Devlin used all his experience there there was contact. I don't know if there was enough contact for the way Nicky Devlin went down right enough, but at the same time, you know, it was a free kick, there was no doubt about that, and he did well, because it looked as though Maeda was going to, you know, again take him at the blind side.
The burners were on, weren't they?
He's on a hat-trick, Maeda. Scored 5 minutes before half-time, scored 5 minutes after. Carter Vickers, Kyogo and Kuhn with the others.
Yeah, just the other interesting thing is that, you know, they haven't taken McGregor off, have they? You know, we're now into 75 minutes, and because he's the one player that they can't actually bring a player on to play his role that much. I know today or tonight at this point in time you could probably play anybody there, but in general terms, for the function of the team and the structure of the team, he's the one that makes it happen.
Well, they won't be coming off. They've made all their changes now. Celtic have it. Forrest, right hand side of the Aberdeen box, rolls it back there to Bernardo, and now with Taylor midway inside the Aberdeen half. They've come back a bit here. Scales squares it to McGregor, out to this right hand side for Johnston. Little ball infield to Bernardo, back to Johnston, out to the touchline for Forrest. Forrest steps in field. Celtic know that the Aberdeen players are kind of going through the motions at the moment. They just want the full-time whistle. It's not coming for another 13 minutes plus stoppage time. Tate turns it back to Trusty, to the left of the centre circle for Scales. He'll then move it back to Trusty. Clarkson will chase him down. Trusty goes all the way back to Kasper Schmeichel.
It's a thankless job trying to close Celtic down, isn't it, out in that pitch, because every one of them are so versed in how Celtic want to play. They're technically very good too, you know, and the movement is excellent. And when you go to close down, especially if you're on your own trying to close somebody down, you can always give up, don't you?
Celtic have it here with Trusty. Knocks it to Scales to his left. Across the halfway line goes Liam Scales. Down the line for Maida. He's unattended at the moment. Morris trying to get back at him. Maida goes down, jumps straight back up, spins away from Morris, back infield to Taylor, who goes all the way back to Scales, who prods it into the centre circle for Trusty, who finds Johnston, and then to McGregor. It's like a cat with a ball of wool right now, Willie.
It is, yeah. You feel for the players in the red strip tonight at this stage, you know, having done so well for the majority of this season. In fact, for all of this season apart from this evening. But, you know, this was always going to be a test for them. It's at Hampden Park, it's a big pitch. You know, Celtic are wanting to prove that they are the best team in Scotland. I don't think we have any doubt that they are the best team in Scotland, but they've got to prove it, and they've certainly proven that tonight. In recent games, they've created a lot of chances, haven't taken these chances, Mackie, but tonight, you know, they've created chances, but they've taken them. They've been ruthless.
Ruthless, and that was a feature, the difference between probably, you know, midweek and tonight, is that they had so many chances, they couldn't actually put the ball in net. Could have ended up 4 or 5, but it didn't. But tonight, every time they got a chance, back of the net.
Yeah, Celtic shots on target 5, goals 5. That is the epitome of ruthless. And as Forrest knocks it back to Johnston, who finds Trusty at the edge of his box, squares it to Scales, then out to Taylor, who goes back to Liam Scales. And Celtic are warming up very nicely for the visit of the Germans.
Different game, Liam, different game.
Oh, of course it is. I mean, Celtic have the chasm to bridge in Europe. Aberdeen and the rest in Scotland have the chasm, particularly the other sides in the Premiership. They have got to try and bridge that, and Aberdeen did that to an extent 2 weeks ago, but tonight the chasm's been laid bare spectacularly. As Forrest comes down the right, he's got his cross in, couldn't quite find Ida. Palaversa's onto it, he rolls it to Devlin, who fires it high and clear, and it remains Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0, with a little over 10 of the 90 still to play.
Yeah, Jimmy Tillene will have some difficult questions to answer, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll be put to him what went wrong tonight, and you know that's a very valid question to ask. And it'll be interesting to see what his answer is. You know, I just don't think that they started the game particularly well, and although their shape was good, they didn't look as though they were going to be ripped open. They didn't create anything going forward, and then after that first goal they've just fallen to pieces, and it is embarrassing, you know. 5-0 going on probably more with the possession that Celtic have had, so you know it'll be a difficult evening for him, but he's done well, you know, coming into the club and turning it round and giving the fans hope and optimism. This is a setback, it's a major setback, but it's also against the best team in Scotland.
And a proper statement by Brendan Rodgers tonight. I'm sure he'll be able to look back at his slip in the first half with a grin later on. Of course, rather that didn't happen, but he saw the funny side as that slipped through towards Ida that Mitov comes out and claims, smothers at the Irishman's feet.
Yeah, just slightly overhit. The pace is just on that wet surface. It just got a little bit more pace than probably what Scales wanted or Adam Ida wanted. But it was a good run down the side of the centre half.
Long ball up towards Peter Ambrose. It's honestly, he takes possession pretty well there. Looked like he was going to lose out to Maida. He pushes it back down the line to Devlin. Back with Mitov. He clears, goes over the head of McKenzie and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side, and Aberdeen are going to make their final change, Tyrone.
Yes, and it sees Vicente Bezayan coming on, and Jamie McGrath, who's really had a huge impact in proceedings tonight. He's the man who's making way.
Out of contract at the end of the season, Jamie McGrath. You know Aberdeen are very keen to keep him, but when you hear when the contract was offered a while ago and it hasn't been signed, you always wonder whether the player sees his future elsewhere. Jack McKenzie comes into that category as well. They have managed to secure Nicky Devlin on a contract extension. Trusty finds Johnston on the near side. Bezayan trying to win it back, but coming back with Trusty.
I think you've just got to make the decision early, you know. I mean, I think you do give the player a little bit of leeway to make their mind up, but if it drags on, like Conor Barron, you know that he's going to leave, and there's players in the past that have done exactly the same. So, you know, I think the two players you're talking about, you know, make the moves now to make sure that you've got replacements for them coming in, because the likelihood is they're not going to sign that contract.
Here comes Celtic down the left with Taylor. Aberdeen gave it away needlessly in the Celtic half. It's Maida on the far side. Squares it infield to Johnston. 82.5 on the clock. Celtic 5-0 up. Looking for more though. Forrest infield to McGregor. And then back to Trusty, who finds Scales. And out to the far side for Taylor. And back to Scales again. It's been another example of Celtic scoring goals in gluts, scoring 3 in an 11-minute period before the break, scoring another 2 in 10 in the second half. As Forrest picks up on this near side, Jinkin in field. Finds Hatate, who beats Palaversa to it, looks to get a shot away, it squirms. I think it was going wide anyway. Mitov's made the save and put it behind for the corner. It took a little deflection. I think it was going wide in any case. The keeper just wasn't sure of his bearings, and Celtic have a corner.
No, I think he did the right thing, actually. If you're not sure, just, you know, go and do something about it, because it was just sort of, he was falling away to the ground, and I was just trying to bend it around the goalkeeper. There wasn't a lot of pace on it, but I think the goalkeeper did the right thing.
Hatate back to the edge of the centre circle. They took the short corner. They've ended up passing it all the way back. There's McGregor out to the left-hand side. He's going to get it back immediately on the Celtic left, and then back it comes to Taylor out to the left flank for Bernardo. Down the line, Celtic pressing. And it's Forrest back to McGregor, the two stalwarts in the Celtic team. Out to the left flank. Taylor goes all the way back to Scales. Final 6 minutes here. Well, stoppage time. No raft of substitutions have been made, of course, in the second half, so there'll be a few minutes on top of that as well. But Aberdeen can't get out of Dodge quickly enough, Willie.
No, they can't. It's been a really difficult night for them, but it shows you the level of performance that you've got to try and achieve, you know, at this stage, and when Celtic are in such a good form. But I think the pitch does make a difference as well. You know, a lot of open spaces out there, and it's been exploited by Celtic. But it's been a lesson. It's been a lesson for Jimmy Tulane. It's been a lesson for the Aberdeen players as well.
Here comes Celtic. It's a wonderful move, by the way, and that is a wonderful goal. Maida gets his hat-trick at the back post, knocks it into the roof of the net. A semi-final treble for the treble chasers and for Daisen Maida. Wonderful play. They've zipped it around from back to front, and Maida had the pleasure of finishing it off, and Celtic have hit Aberdeen at the National Stadium for 6. Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, sensational goal. Obviously moving that ball after 1-2 touch passing, and Maida get himself into that brilliant position again at the back post. He couldn't miss to tap it into the net after really good play between Forrest, between Johnson, and lovely little kind of almost understanding of where players are and just moving that ball, and perfect, you know, hat-trick for Maida. Probably man of the match. His performance has been really good.
Oh, without doubt. You know, and his run and his awareness, and the Johnson, they pass to him as well, and he's behind the ball coming on to it. It's an easy tap in. It's wonderful play from Celtic. You know, but you've got to be there. You've got to be in these positions. You've got to know where to be to be a threat, and not just a threat, to actually execute it as well. It's been a masterclass from Celtic. So, you know, you've got to take that on board. You know that if they turn up and they play to the highest level that they can, then it's going to be a long and difficult evening. That's what it's been for this Aberdeen team. Yeah. Great start to the season, but a huge lesson for them.
There is, and we didn't expect it, to be honest, because they've been going really well. But Celtic have just played exceptionally well, and there's another chance, you know, that they've taken again expertly. You know, I think the only chance they missed maybe was the one that Hatate's just knocked by, or the goalkeeper made a little save, and that in itself could have maybe, we don't know if it was going to be on target, but certainly expertly done by Celtic throughout, from back to front, to middle to front. That has just been so fluid tonight.
Smooth, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a smooth, well-oiled machine, and it's running, you know, so efficiently and effectively. The players, you know, are high confidence and belief, you know, and they definitely have that belief. And we've watched them in recent games, you know, scoring chances, but tonight they're showing top quality. They're real class.
Heaviest hand in defeat for Aberdeen in the post here. They've been creating all kinds of positive records this season. This isn't going to be one you may tell Ian's going to be too enamoured with. And there's still time for more for Celtic here at this almost on 88 minutes, 6-0 up. And Callum McGregor forward to Forrest. But for Maida personally, Packy, a Hampden hat-trick.
Yeah, no, listen, I did say that he looked a wee bit jaded coming back from the international trip, but tonight, you know, he's kept the ball well too, but he's got into positions to score goals. Look at him again, he's looking for those little runs in behind all the time, and it's such a threat for the opposition, but his turn of pace is fantastic, and you know, he didn't have to work too hard at getting his goals probably when they were afforded to him, but you know, you can't take anything away from scoring a hat-trick at Hampden in the semi-final.
It's instinct, Pat, isn't it? You know, it's instinct to be and see the game, see it building up, get yourself in a position to take advantage of any pass that's going to come to you, and that's what he's done. It's a goal-scoring instinct. He's coming in off of that left wing constantly, and he's finding space, and at the end of the day, it's been kind of easy and simple goals for him, but you know, you've got to be able to get yourself in a position to make it look easy. All the good players, as well as goalkeepers,
yes,
make the game look easy.
I agree totally, Wally.
But into the 90th minute, of course you do. But into the 90th minute, Celtic have it again, and it's Greg Taylor driving forward out to Maida. Ida's waiting in the middle. Maida rolls it back up the line to Taylor. Levelled 18-yard line. He's evaded Morris and Rubičić. Aberdeen have been totally ragdolled tonight.
You can't get a touch of the ball.
Nah.
That's the problem. You know, they're working hard enough, they're running around, but it's so demoralising when you have to work without touching the ball. You can't win it back.
Yeah, they've been a rabbit in the headlights tonight. They've been magnificent all season long before this. And they've chosen tonight to put in their worst performance of the season, but I just wonder how different the scoreline would have been, even if they'd played their best performance of the season tonight, Willie, against this rampant Celtic team.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's firing in all cylinders and the organisation's good, then it didn't look too bad until the first goal went in. But after that, you know, you've got to recover. I just didn't think the start of the game was good enough.
No stoppage time. Celtic go through with the most comfortable of semi-final victories against a team that had been unbeaten in 90 minutes since March. But they have taken Aberdeen to the cleaners here. The Dons simply did not have an answer to this winning machine. And unsurprisingly, Daisen Maida is named man of the match here. A hat-trick against Aberdeen, who were blown away. The first goal going in off the head of Cameron Carter-Vickers just before the half hour. Kyogo and Maida made it 3-0 at the break before Celtic grabbed another 3 in the second half. Maida again not long after the break. Kuhn made it 5, and then as the clock ticked on to 85, Maida completed the hat-trick and completed Aberdeen's misery, Jimmy Thelín's misery. It is a first defeat for the Swede, who's going to have to try and react to this with still loads of the season still to go. The Dons have been superb. Their fans who are still here appreciating their efforts. Perhaps not so much for tonight, just an acknowledgement that they are with them. They are still at the top of the table, level with Celtic on points, but there can be no denying the gap that remains between these two sides. Understandably so, when you consider the budgetary differential between the two of them. And this was an Aberdeen team that came from 2-0 down to get a point at Celtic Park a couple of weeks ago. Celtic have put them in their place this evening. And Brendan Rodgers, as he eyes up a 4th League Cup success as Celtic manager, having won 3 of them in his first spell, having been knocked out at the first hurdle in Kilmarnock last season. They find themselves back in the showpiece, and they will return here on Sunday the 15th of December, where they will take on either Motherwell or Rangers, who go head-to-head here tomorrow. It is a 37th League Cup final for Celtic as they look to win it for a 22nd time. And right now, on the basis of this performance tonight, it's going to take some beating as the Celtic side. It finishes here with Aberdeen on the receiving end of a serious toweling at the National Stadium. Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0.
The Scottish League Cup.